Uhuru, everyone. My name is Jaina Bulamumba. I'm the Southern Regional Representative for the African People's Socialist Party, as well as the granddaughter of Chairman Omali Yeshitela. And I'm happy to report that in the case of the Uhuru Three, that Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Chair Jesse Nevel, and Chairwoman Penny Hess have not been sentenced to 1 day in prison.
Uhuru, hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa, free the Uhuru Three comrades. We did it, not 1 day, not 1 dime. Uhuru, my name is Mwezi Odom, and I am so excited to be here on today. I'm joined by just a huge group of individuals who are, here to thank everybody for helping and making this Uhuru 3 victory a reality. We called it, we knew that this would be a victory for the people. And you, comrades, you were such a big part of that. And we just want to welcome you to today's webinar titled, Thanks to You, the Power of the People Wins a Victory for the Uhuru 3. And I want to welcome up my comrade, co-MC, Comrade Penny Hess, who is one of the Uhuru Three, and also you're muted, Comrade, but I see you there. And also we have some other Uhuru Comrade, and welcome up the Uhuru Three. We just want to also acknowledge Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Chair of the African People's Socialist Party, leader of the Uhuru movement, and just the political leadership and all of the work that the chairman has contributed to history, but to this moment in particular, as well as Comrade Jesse Nevel, chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And again, my comrade Penny Hess, chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee. So just wanted to welcome you up, comrade. And if you have a few words to say before we get today's program started. Uhuru.
Uhuru, great to see you, Secretary General and Chair Mwezi Odom. It's wonderful to be here under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party and Chairman Omali Yeshitela and your great leadership. What an incredible victory the Uhuru Three have won. As the chairman said, it's a political victory, and it was, couldn't have been done without the participation and the mass support of so many, many people, so many comrades, so many organizations, individuals, institutions of many sorts. And this is why we want to give a great big thank you today to everybody who contributed to this amazing victory.
Yes, right on. Thank you, comrade. I totally unite, and just the chat room is overwhelmingly just, blowing up with all the support. We have comrades joining from all over. We look forward to giving you a shout out from wherever you were tuning in from. And yes, as Sister Afia Wangaza, just an awesome comrade, says, not 1 day, not 1 dime. And that's what you heard as the Uhuru Three and all of our supporters came swelling out of the courtroom and onto the courthouse steps. And as you heard from Comrade Jainaba, that yes, indeed, not 1 day, not 1 dime. And as we said, comrades, it is not over. The struggle continues. So there's gonna be several presentations throughout today. And I'm going to go ahead and get us started on our first couple of slides, just to introduce you to who we are, for those of you who are just joining us, and who you are, because you are also a part of this fight back. So again, today's webinar is titled, Thanks to You, Power of the People Wins the Victory for the Uhuru Three. Again, comrades, this would not have been done without you. We want to appreciate you for being here with us on today. This event and this fight back is brought to you by the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition. The Fight Back Coalition is made up of over hundreds of organizations who are, who have united on this, non-sectarian anti-colonial free speech coalition to make the demand to drop the charges against the Uhuru Three. This coalition brought us to Washington, D.C., marching on the ground all around the world. It took us to the Uhuru Three trial, through the sentencing and, and beyond. Part of the work of this coalition again, was to drop the charges against the Uhuru Three, but also to take up the demands, around political prisoners. We continue to say free Mumia Abu Jamal and all political prisoners, free Comrade H. Rap Brown, also Jamil Al-Hamin. We also want to say, and we support and unite with the struggle to free Leonard Peltier. We say not one more year, and we salute the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee. And we'll say more about all of these, struggles coming up. But again, I just want to salute and appreciate, really want to salute the Uhuru Three, comrades, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Nevel, who won a great victory for the people, led by the people as well. We want to salute, and we'll say more about this in, later on in the program, but we really want to salute our fallen comrades. We want to salute Comrade Ralph Pointer. Long live to this longtime fighter, for political prisoners, and just continues to be in the struggle, present day, as well as our comrades who, from D12, who out the gate were there standing in support of the Uhuru Three, as well as, one of the dear comrades from December 12, Comrade Viola Plummer of the December 12 organization. Throughout this fight back, we have also lost a very dear, important member of the African community in North St. Louis, which was ground zero for the raids, the FBI raids on the Uhuru movement. This is Mr. Gary Brooks, and we want to celebrate and recognize this individual who is a really important part of the Black Power blueprint as well. So again, throughout this, long live to all the fallen comrades. And I do want to also salute Comrade Deidre, who was one of the first comrades who we lost through, during this entire struggle as well. So the case of the Uhuru Three, as we have said, was a political case that shaped and will continue to shape the future of free speech. This fight back, as even one of our lawyers has said, it was clear that this was not about Russia. This was not about, protests. This was an attack on the Uhuru movement. And after coming to St. Louis, our attorneys knew that this attack on the Uhuru movement was about the Black Power blueprint. So I want to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and I also want to salute Deputy Chair Onazine Yeshitela, who is the Deputy Chair of our, of the African People's Socialist Party and the architect of the Black Power blueprint, building Black Power in the hands of the African working class on the ground in St. Louis. And this was a threat, and this is where, the raids took place as well. So just a quick update for those of you who don't know, for the past 2.5 years, we have been fighting since the aftermath of the FBI raids, which took place on July 29, 2022. Again, these were 7 raids that took place on 7 homes and properties of the Uhuru movement, 5 a.m. in St. Louis, Missouri, 6 a.m. in St. Petersburg, Florida, both pre-dawn violent raids. We fought back, comrades, and with your help, we have taken this fight back across the globe, literally touching every corner of the globe that we could, with your support, many of you taking this out, on your own as well. The Fight Back Coalition, as we had mentioned, was a huge part of this, and we're going to take more time later on in the program to really thank all the organizations. There are so many, and we just want to, you'll probably hear us say this throughout the entire program. If we forget you, please let us know, because there's just so many names and people to thank in this fight back. But again, we want to thank you and just, say that we're not going to go through the whole timeline of attacks that took place. But for the past 2.5 years, we have seen an ongoing onslaught of attacks on our economic institutions, on individuals in our organizations, on our efforts to get grants to be able to support and to build the programs on the ground for the Uhuru movement as well. These raids were a reminder that that this was a long-standing attack on the African liberation movement, and we use our own media, the Burning Spear media, to be able to put this out into the world and to be able to use our own instruments to fight back against the state attacks. We have had press conferences to be able to call out what is happening on the ground in St. Louis, blocking economic development. We have had an amazing team of volunteers who have put out around the world to get us of media interviews, articles, commentary, international coverage on this case. Hundreds of events, webinars, rallies, and appearances of the Uhuru 3 and you, members of our organizations as well. We have part of these, webinars has been a really important part for us to be able to politicize what's happening, to make it clear that this, again, was not just a legal fight, but also that, we had to raise money, a serious amount of resources, and able to wage this fight back. These 2 years took place 60 years after what was known as Freedom Summer, back in 1964. And this summer, summer in 2024, the chairman called it the long, hot summer, and we had comrades on the ground in St. Petersburg, Florida, in the 100-degree heat, going door to door and putting all over the city on the ground flyers to get people to get to the trial for the Uhuru 3. We want to thank everybody who showed up on September 3rd for the free speech trial of the century, which took place in a federal courthouse in Tampa, Florida. As we said, the Uhuru movement won and told the truth, and we know that the U.S. government lied and lost. And we make this clear because we were able to reach a verdict that was clear that we do not work for Black people, or that we do not work for the Russians, but that the Uhuru movement, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, has always worked for the interests of Black people, not guilty on the charge of being foreign agents, but wrongfully convicted of this conspiracy charge. So as we know, and as the chairman has said, this is not over. Victory to the Uhuru 3. And we understand that the real conspiracy was that the U.S. government's attack, that this was an attack on free speech. And so, again, to understand that this inconsistent verdict that came out on September 3rd, as the chairman told us all along, is not about the law. This was a political attack with real political objectives. So we put this out. We used the trial transcripts to show you exactly what happened on September 3rd, which was supposed to be a whole month-long trial, but ended up being something like 9 days. And we called on everybody to come out to the sentencing hearing, which took place on December 16th. All of you were there. You helped us to pack the courtroom. And we, of course, could not have done this without our brilliant attorneys, our brilliant legal team. We want to salute the Uhuru 3 legal team, Addie Griffin, who represented Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Mutaki Akbar, who represented Chair Jesse Nevel, Leonard Goodman, who brought this, work pro bono, representing Comrade Penny Hess, as well as comrades and lawyers, attorneys Angela Rainey and Tom Inskeep. Just an amazing, brilliant team of attorneys who have really set a precedent for what law should look like in and out of the courtroom. And again, comrades, our outcome was, as you heard, not one day, not one dime. Many of you were there on the doorsteps with the breaking news that the Uhuru 3 were, don't have to spend one day in a federal prison. And we want to thank you, comrades. So as we close up this opening section, and I'm going to turn it back to Chairwoman Penny if there's anything that I missed, we just want to remind, as the chairman says, that clearly this was a political attack, as we say, on the chairman, on the African People's Socialist Party, on the African liberation struggle, but on you, all freedom-loving people. And we understand, and as we have said, that it is not over, that we will appeal. And we're going to talk more about what that means and how we are all going to make that make this appeal not just something that happens behind closed doors, but we're going to continue to expose what has happened with this with the outcome of this case. And we have a goal today. Our goal is to raise $2,000 towards this fight back for the appeal. I want to salute our amazing fundraising team, who you're going to hear from later on in today's program, who's going to break down why and just how much that this $2,000 is going to contribute to an even larger goal. So I want to thank everybody who has already gone to handsoffuhuru.org/donate to help us contribute to our goal today of $2,000 towards the appeal for the Uhuru 3's wrongful conviction of conspiracy. So in today's program, we want to thank our donors. We're going to thank some individuals and organizations, those of you who have done outreach, postering, phone banking, hosted events, those of you who have lended your skills in terms of information technology and education, those of you who have attended our events, helped to organize events, have sought out and worked with the media and public relations, those of you who volunteered in any capacity that you could, those of you who participated in the legal defense, and our academics and our educators who also played a role. So again, we want to thank you for letting us go through this opening section. And Comrade Penny, is there anything that I missed before we kind of jump into the rest of the program?
Well, I thought that was a great overview, really exciting. And of course, I hope we're going to cover every possible thing throughout this event today. So
Yeah.
that was a great opening. Really appreciate that.
Uhuru. Yes, comrade, we will. And we also wanted to, we'll probably have more to say about this in the future, but you may have heard us throughout the course of these past like year and a half or so discussing about the importance of this campaign, the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition, adopting two very important struggles. And if there's anything to be said more on that, Penny, please do. But we wanted to lift up and really make it concrete our support and our statement in support of the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, again freeing this indigenous political prisoner who has been in prison for nearly 50 years, as well as Mumia Abu Jamal, another African who has who stood on the right side of the question and has been punished for it as well, spending decades behind bars as well. And so we want to say that we'll put out more about this on the website, but that we are adopting both of these, campaigns, and we want to make the people know that this is part of our fight back as well.
Yes, and we do have a statement from Hands Off Uhuru that we will be posting to the website probably tomorrow. By tomorrow, people can check it out. Maybe it'll start on the homepage. In any case, we have a statement for our commitment to the freedom of Leonard Peltier and indigenous people, that recognizing that this is the land of the indigenous people, which has been stolen from them and which genocide has been perpetrated against the people who are the rightful owners of this land. Also, we do have a statement in support of the freedom of Mumia Abu Jamal as well. And we will be doing more of these. So we just want to get that out, and please check it out on our website as of tomorrow.
Great. Thank you, comrade. Thank you for clarifying that. Yes, and our website is handsoffuhuru.org.
Yes.
You can find everything, all the updates there as well. And I want to thank our chat moderators for dropping that in the chat as well. So, all right, comrades, well, we're going to move on. We are going to bring up our next speaker and section. And actually, I didn't check to see. Okay, I do see our attorney, Leonard Goodman, is on.
Yes.
So I'm going to turn it over to you, Comrade Penny, to introduce. But first, I just want to salute you and thank you, Comrade Attorney Goodman, for your just remarkable work and your stance. And just wanted to say welcome to today's program, Uhuru.
Uhuru. Yes, I wanted to join in welcoming you, Attorney Leonard Goodman. It has been such a pleasure and an honor to work with all of the attorneys who took on this case, and we have more to come. It's not over, but we really appreciate you so much. And each of the attorneys has a particular kind of strength or focus, and I would say that at least one of them, of Attorney Leonard Goodman, is writing all of the legal briefs, the appeals, and just so many documents that you have written, all of which, or most of which, in any case, should be also available on our website. And we really ask that people read that and take a look at it. But you've just done an amazing job on all of this, and it's an honor to have you on, Attorney Leonard Goodman.
Thank you, Penny. It's been an honor to be part of this legal team. And Penny asked me to talk a little bit about the appeal, which I'm happy to do. And I'm excited actually to work on the appeal because there'll be the appeal will probably generally an appeal of a federal case. You cite somewhere between 3 and 5 issues that you think are your strongest issues. Well, one of those issues, of course, will be whether the trial judge erred in not dismissing this prosecution and allowing it to go forward, and not granting the motion to dismiss for violation of the First Amendment. And one thing to note is that at the sentencing hearing, the judge acknowledged for the very first time that this case was all about, I think he said, rooted in political speech. Well, better late than never. This prosecution should have been dismissed. It clearly violates the First Amendment, and that will be probably front and center of our appeal. Now, there will be other issues as well, but that one is such an important issue, because if the government is allowed to prosecute people because they don't like what they were saying, and they feel like they might be influencing people contrary to what the establishment wants them to believe about war and peace and other issues, that is a really dangerous precedent. And even the fact that we didn't get any jail time, we were acquitted of the most serious charge, it still is a very dangerous precedent to allow this case to go to a jury, because it sends a signal to other activists that you better watch what you say. And you better be careful if you're saying things that are displeasing to the powers that be, you may end up in the dock. So for all those reasons, it's really important to support this appeal process. It's going to be in the 11th Circuit. It's a court that I'm not particularly familiar with, but I've just been admitted to the 11th Circuit, so I'm excited to work on this. It's considered to be a very conservative court, but I don't know whether that's good or bad in these crazy times. Sometimes conservatives are more sympathetic to issues involved with the First Amendment. So we'll see how that plays out. But the appeal process will probably take a year. From now. I would predict in a year we should be very close to having a decision, if not having our decision. And the appeal will be consolidated. So the 3 defendants will all join together in one appeal. I don't know if I missed anything that you want me to address, but that's the basic outline of what's going to happen in the next year in the 11th Circuit.
Well, thank you so much, Attorney Goodman. And I was just wondering if you could also say a little bit about the 300 hours and just our probation, et cetera. If you just want to tell people what exactly is happening on that.
Well, I mean, I think and I think thanks to a lot of the support that the people that have joined and supported these 3 defendants from the beginning, it's been so important. So as you all know, the judge imposed no jail time and no fines. He did oppose community service, and made the comment, well, that's kind of what you all do anyway. So that is something that we're figuring out. They will have to do community service, which is the work that they do, and we're all figuring out how that can be done in a way that that promotes the issues that they've worked so hard for. So I don't see that as a real problem for these 3 folks to do community service. They shouldn't have to do anything as ordered by the federal government, and I've been very clear about that. This case violates the First Amendment. You should not be prosecuted or convicted of anything based on political speech. Every act in this indictment was political speech, either publishing articles, holding rallies, holding Zoom calls, teaching events. It's all political speech, and hopefully in the end this will be reversed. But yes, they do have to do their community service in the meantime.
Thank you, Attorney Goodman. Thank you so
Penny.
much.
All right.
Always such a pleasure and an honor to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. All right.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
being here. Uhuru. Right
Attorney
on.
Goodman,
Yeah.
I wish you could stay on for just a few minutes. Has he gone already?
I hope not. Oh, I think he has. Sorry.
Okay, we can see, maybe we can
I could text
get him
him
back
to see
on.
if he could come back
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Chairman Penny. Thank you, Chairman, for that intervention. Yes, just really want to salute Comrade Attorney Leonard Goodman, and yes, his contributions to the writing of the briefs, which again, we want to remind everybody are available on our website. If you go to handsoffuhuru.org, under the About tab, you'll see court documents. You'll get a chance to read these really important political work, which are, historical by nature of this case. And again, Attorney Goodman was, if I believe, one of them who, when we were looking for our attorneys, was like, what's the crime? And that was just, an indication of the kind of attorneys, that we needed, behind us in this case and this fight back. So as Chairwoman Penny, is there anything else you want to say before we move it to our next section, Uhuru?
Well, just that if he is able to come back on, the chairman can interact with him, but I know we're going to hear from Jesse Nevel, another one of the Uhuru three. So Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chair Jesse, Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chair Mwezi, and Chairwoman Penny. And yes, of course, if Attorney Leonard Goodman comes on, and I can stop at any time if there's other discussion that the chairman wants to have around that. But I'm just really honored to be on this program today. And I think if we could just pull up the slides that I will be presenting. Thank you. So first of all, I just want to say, again, I'm so honored and I'm so proud to be here. And I am a proud member of the African People's Solidarity Committee and Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And I'm also a proud member of the Uhuru 3, along with my leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and Chairwoman Penny Hess, the chair of the African People's Solidarity Committee. And I also have the honor to be the chair of the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Support Committee. So I will be saying a little bit about that and all of the incredible people, many of which are on this call right now, who contributed so much. The victory on December 16th was your victory, and it would not have been possible without you. And I just want to first and foremost salute the brilliant leadership of the chairman, who from day one made it clear that this had nothing to do with the law, with any notion of criminality, that this was a political trial and that it had to be met with a serious political counteroffensive. And the brilliance of that strategy was obvious for all to see when the people chanted "not one day, not one dime" as Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the Uhuru 3 exited the courthouse in Tampa, Florida on December 16th. And I'll be saluting our lawyers in just a minute, but just to say quickly, for anyone who wasn't able to be there, what happened on December 16th? There were 150 people, supporters, who were there. We went there with 150 supporters, 1,600 character letters, several character witnesses who were lined up to speak. And the prosecutors, the prosecution team led by Daniel Marcet, went in asking the judge to put Chairman Omali Yeshitela in prison for 3 years, along with a $100,000 fine and immediate repayment or payment, whatever, of alleged back taxes that the US government was claiming the chairman would have to pay, which would mean a potential financial fine of up to $200,000 on Chairman Omali Yeshitela, along with 2 years in federal prison for Chairwoman Penny Hess and a $20,000 fine, and 2 years in federal prison for myself, plus 3 years of quote unquote supervised release for each of us after we would have come out of federal prison. The judge listened to Daniel Marcet's desperate, sweaty, pathetic attempt to convince him that the Uhuru 3 represented a grave threat to national security, as the judge looked behind him at a room full of people of all ages, of all nationalities, of all backgrounds, people with children, with babies who had come out to support the Uhuru 3. And then when the prosecutor was done talking, the judge basically corrected him on another lie he had made about the law, and then turned to us and stated that he was not considering prison. He was not considering imposing a fine. He acknowledged all of the letters that had been sent in. He actually thanked the supporters in the court who had been there through the entire trial. He said, as Leonard Goodman just said, that 300 years of community service, but these people will probably do that standing on their heads because that's what they do anyway. And then on the question of the fine, he said that a fine is supposed to be a punishment of the individual, but this organization, this movement will just fundraise for it anyway. So what's the point of imposing a fine? And he reiterated the point that Leonard Goodman and the Uhuru 3 legal team were making from the very beginning, which is that this was about political speech. And then he stood up and left the room, and the crowd erupted into applause, cheers, and chants of not one day, not one time. And while many have correctly observed that this case shouldn't have happened in the first place, that it's problematic for there to even be a sentence of probation, let alone an indictment of this nature in the first place. And obviously we agree and will be taking that on through the appeal. The greater point is that what happened in Tampa, Florida on December 16th was a massive political victory for African people, for all colonized people, for freedom-loving people, for the anti-colonial free speech movement. They wanted to delegitimize the African liberation movement by saying that it was merely a pawn in someone else's game, merely a puppet of Russian interests. And the Uhuru movement, the Hands Off Uhuru campaign, took that away from them and made that impossible. And if I said 300 days, I meant to say 300 hours of community service. So I want to move on quickly and say that the Uhuru 3 legal team was brilliant. Mutaki Akbar, Addie Griffin, Angela Rainey, Tom Inskeep, Leonard Goodman, absolutely brilliant attorneys who came in with so much skill and strength, but most importantly, they came in as the voice of the people. They got up on the stand and said, Uhuru means freedom. They said Omali Yeshitela is not for sale. He's a revolutionary. They said that they showed that everything the Uhuru 3 were indicted for was free speech advocating in the interests of African people for their self-determination. And this was a huge task, a monumental task that the Uhuru 3 legal team took on, and they did a brilliant job. So we want to salute the Uhuru 3 legal team. And I think our attorney, Leonard Goodman, is back on. So I'm just going to stop there and defer to our MCs if there's any change in the way the program is going right now before I can. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Thank you so much, Chair Jesse, for that, for those statements, and just again reiterating what happened on December 16th from the horse's mouth, or from the judge's mouth rather, what this case was always about. And I want to, just acknowledge that Attorney Goodman has come back on. Attorney Goodman, just as you left, the chairman was hoping that you would stay on. So I do see the chairman has unmuted as well. So we'll just leave it open for just a few moments.
Yeah, thank you so
Chairman.
much, Counselor. I really wanted to appreciate your being here, and not only your words that you just had to say, but throughout this entire process for almost 2.5 years, everything that you've had to say and the work that you've done to contribute to the outcome up to now of this trial. I also think it's really important to harp on this issue of freedom of speech and the attack, the consequences of this attack. I think that Attorney Goodman made the point that even going to trial with this case was something that was a major assault on free speech. And I agree with that. I mean, we come out of this case with 300 hours of community service. And then I really felt like the judge was rather courageous, despite the fact we didn't get exactly what we should have got. And the reason I said I think it was courageous is because the government had intended to put us in prison, put me in prison for 15 years, put us in prison for 15 years, $250,000 fine. And as we said, if it was not about law, it was a political case all along. which means that the government had its plan. It was a plan, and the judge had the courage, I think, with the support of the 1,600 letters, with the support of all of the people who came out, with your support, brothers and sisters and comrades. The judge was able to not go along with this thing that the state wanted to do, that the prosecutor wanted to do. I think that it's really important to acknowledge that, but it has had an impact. I mean, even now we're talking about having community service. We're talking about on probation, and the judge made some statements. I thought he was relatively liberal in what he laid out in terms of how the probation officers in office should be handling this case, but he did say some things that I thought threw a bit of ambiguity into the question that makes us extraordinarily cautious, even in terms of relationships that we have with people. I mean, according to the probation officers, we're not supposed to have a relationship with anybody with a criminal offense, which means that we can't even have a relationship with each other. Means that we cannot have a relationship with our neighbors. If you live in the African community, especially working class, it's hard not to have a relationship with somebody without a felony conviction. And then there are some incredible important people and institutions who've supported this case all along. And I think about people like Scott Ritter, who I feel was a major victory for this movement and winning people to solidarity with the struggle against colonialism by African people. Well, Scott Ritter is someone who is a felon, who is somebody who has been to Russia, and we're not supposed to have a relationship, as we understand it, with someone connected to Russia. Well, I don't know, exactly what that means. So it just makes us extremely cautious, which means it is also further a movement, a further aggression against the right of freedom of speech. So can I talk to Scott Ritter? Can we do the kinds of events that we had talked about doing with a Scott Ritter or anybody else, for that matter, people who we know who wanted to support, who've been part of Russia Today, which has been an institution that's given us, when I say us now, I'm talking about radicals, I'm talking about progressives, I'm talking about African people, access to media that was denied us by Zuckerberg, that's denied us by the other forces connected, Bezos and the rest of them. So that's part of what I just wanted to say, and I wanted Attorney Goodman, like to be here, and I don't know if there's anything that he would say contributing to furthering the point that I was just making, or not, or anybody else for that matter. Uhuru.
Uhuru,
Yeah, I would, yeah, I just would say that I agree with everything the chairman, and I think that's partly why it's so important to get this conviction reversed. It should never have gone forward, and
Lost.
Yeah,
a
we
higher
can't hear
court
you.
than the district judge. Can you hear me?
Yes, now.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with what the chairman said. I agree that the judge did show some courage at the end in standing up to the prosecutor, but a higher court is going to take a look at this, and it's very important. This is going to be a very important precedent, and it should be reversed. And I'm going to do everything I can to see that we get the right outcome for all the reasons that the chairman stated. We shouldn't be doing community service. We shouldn't be having restrictions on the activism that we can do. So I'm optimistic in the outcome. So
I think he did say we could have a relationship with the Salvadoran liberation movement. Did he?
Yes, he did. He mentioned that. Uhuru.
all right, I do have to run.
Thank you very
Attorney
much.
Goodman.
Thank you so
I've got
much.
my
Yes.
Thank you,
daughter today.
Counselor. Our
Thank
regards to your
you all.
daughter and your
Okay.
dogs.
All right.
Yes. Uhuru.
Thank you. All right.
Uhuru, Leonard.
Hey,
Uhuru.
Sam, say hello.
Hey.
Oh, there she is.
Thank
Oh,
you.
hi.
You're part of this
Uhuru.
victory too, Uhuru.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wonderful. Right on. Oh, that was great. Thank you, Chairman, for that intervention. And we wanted to go back, actually, if there's anything else to be said, please do, Chairman and co-MC Chairwoman Penny. But Chair Jesse has a couple more slides and he wants to go through and acknowledge the rest of the really brilliant Legal Defense Support Committee. So I'll
Yes.
turn it back to Chair Jesse, then we'll move on with the program. Uhuru.
All right, thank you so much. And Uhuru, Chairman, thank you for that really important intervention and statement. And salute to Leonard Goodman and also his daughter, who I had the honor to meet in Chicago when we were at the National Lawyers Guild. And Leonard spoke there, and Chairwoman Penny. And anyway, I'll be talking about the NLG in just a minute. So, but yeah, I don't have time to give the full salute that I want to give to the Uhuru Through Legal team, because it could take hours to really talk about the incredible job that each and every one of them did. Mutaki Akbar, Addie Griffin, Angela Rainey, who, you know, people have heard about the 2.5 million books worth of discovery that the US government unloaded on our legal team. And Angela Rainey has been through damn near all of that. I mean, she was thorough and not only going through discovery, but preparing legal arguments and also arguing in court with Griffin, who played such an important role throughout the entire process. And of course, our attorney, Leonard Goodman. So we want to salute this legal team. They did an incredible job under the political leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who said from the beginning, this is a political trial and we have to put the state on trial. And they did that, and the people did that. And that's why we've had this incredible victory. If we go to the next slide, I'm gonna try to go really fast here. So I wanna salute the Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Support Committee. And this committee was led for most of its duration up until a certain point when, due to other responsibilities, he had to transfer the role of the chair to myself, but it was led by Chimaranga Selembao. And I cannot say enough to salute the role that Chimaranga played and continues to play in shaping the political and legal fight back, and being on the phones nonstop for days and days and days after the raids on July 29th to find lawyers who were willing to step up to the plate and take on the colonial state, the federal government, in such a courageous way. So just really salute Chimaranga, as well as Zoe Hauser, attorney Life Malcolm, Jennifer Jones, attorney Jennifer Jones, Comrade Belinda Parker Brown, Reginald Calloway, Julie Chevalker of Project South, Colin Poirot from the National Lawyers Guild. And I also want to thank Alan Levine, a civil rights attorney who also happens to be my uncle, who also played an important role and actually, turns out, was an advisor to the authors of the amicus brief that was filed by the National Lawyers Guild of Chicago in support of our motion for dismissal. So I want to salute all of them. And again, just repeat the disclaimer that I sincerely apologize to anyone I'm leaving off, because so many people contributed to this. Next slide. I want to thank Lauren Reagan and the Civil Liberties Defense Center. They were there from day one, working with us, working with Chimaranga, myself, and the Hands Off Uhuru campaign to put together a legal team that was up to the task. And they played an invaluable role throughout the entire fight back in working to assemble a powerful legal team that would be able to go into the court and represent the struggle of African people. So we really want to appreciate Lauren Reagan and the Civil Liberties Defense Center, and we're excited about continuing to work with Lauren and the CLDC in the coming months and years. And finally, I want to salute the National Lawyers Guild. The National Lawyers Guild, which hosted us at their Chicago convention, as well as their Birmingham convention, where Chairwoman Penny, Dr. Aisha Fields of the Uhuru Movement leader, and myself were able to be there with Leonard Goodman, and specifically Audrey Bomsey, Jess Nasalski, who was the primary author of the amicus brief, the NLG Chicago chapter, the NLG Mass Defense Committee, the NLG International Committee for all of the support and resolution that the National Lawyers Guild passed in support of the Uhuru 3, and again, the amicus brief that was filed in support of the motion for dismissal. So if you would like to join the incredible Hands Off Uhuru Legal Defense Support Committee, you can sign up for our next meeting, which will be on Thursday, February 6th, 2025, this year, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 Central. You can RSVP by emailing info@handsoffahuru.org. And the next phase of struggle for the Legal Defense Support Committee will be to win support for our appeal to get this bogus conspiracy conviction overturned. So that will mean research, amicus briefs, and all kinds of legal reinforcements that people can provide to this process. We will be participating in the campaign to call for the repealing, the elimination of these repressive, anti-democratic, illegitimate colonial laws, 18 USC 951, 371, and all the other ones that fall under the realm of these foreign agents laws and these conspiracy laws that are used to criminalize and target and attempt to destroy the struggle by African and other colonized peoples and all who attempt to exercise their freedom of speech to criticize the US government and colonialism. We want these laws to be taken off the books, and this will be a really important political campaign. And also, in general, this committee will continue to win legal support for the African liberation movement and the anti-colonial struggle. So I just close by thanking all of you, saluting Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and the famous quote that we often say from Che Guevara, that solidarity is not a matter of well-wishing, but of sharing the same fate in victory or in death. And thanks to everybody who is a part of this meeting today. The fate that we all had the honor to share on December 16th was one of victory, victory, victory. And we're going to keep winning. The African working class is winning, and we will win. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Right on. Thank you so much, Chair Jesse. Just want to salute you too, the Uhuru lawyer, who was also, played a really important role in the Legal Defense Support Committee, and just wanted to unite with Comrade Chimarenga's relentless, fight to pull together that really important committee that yielded such great support and an amazing legal team and, backup throughout all these, really strong organizational alliances. So want to salute you. Thank you for that presentation. There's more to come, but before we bring up our next speaker, which is the chairman, who will just, continue to help us, deepen and understand this period, I want to thank, as we said, many of you have already gone to handsoffahuru.org and donations are pouring in. So I just want to read off a couple of names if I can before we move into the next section of today's program. I want to thank you to an anonymous donor. I want to thank Amanda, Robert, Leah, Frank, Barry, Ann, and Dolores. Thank you, comrades and brothers and sisters, for your contributions to today's overall goal. Also contributing, we want to thank Maggie, Andrea, and Esther. We are inching closer and closer towards our goal, so continue to go to handsoffahuru.org/donate to help us reach our goal of raising $2,000 on today. So, Uhuru. So I'm going to bring up our next speaker and our keynote speaker for today. I want to really salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Chairman, as we said, is the founder of the Uhuru movement, founder of the African People's Socialist Party, and is a veteran in the Black Power struggle, and has really helped us to, provided the political leadership over this fight back, but also has done something that has not been done and has united and really, helped to build a strong anti-colonial, coalition of forces around the world, across the political spectrum. And this can only be done through a perspective that understands colonialism as the one thing that actually unites all of us, and the one thing that we should all take part in helping to overturn for the freedom and liberation of all people, Africa, indigenous, and all colonized people. So, Chairman, I want to welcome you to today's program, and I'll turn it over to you for your time. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you so much, Comrade Mwezi, for the introduction. And I would like to express my appreciation to everyone who's here, especially those of you who've been leading this process in terms of making us accessible to all of the people who are part of this coalition and the peoples around the world. I am not going to attempt to acknowledge the various forces who are in this meeting. There's so many people and so many organizations that we have such appreciation for. I will make an exception in acknowledging Comrade Afia Mungaza, who is a SNCC veteran, and as a member of SNCC myself, and there are others, I think, in this meeting who also came from SNCC. But SNCC was that organization that was the bridge between the anti-racism movement of the civil rights era and the anti-colonial struggle around Black Power. Black Power was a major leap forward, and Afia played a major role, a very important role, in working on the document that was a precursor to the Black Power statement position that SNCC put forward. So I wanted to make that statement. I think it's also important for me to say that we in the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement is not simply a protest movement. And we are not simply a protest organization, though we have protested and we do protest and we support many of the issues that people protest throughout this country and much of the world. Also, I want to acknowledge the brothers and sisters who in this meeting now who on the continent of Africa, Namibia, and Southwest Africa. I think I saw someone from Sierra Leone in West Africa, and there are probably others as well. I point them out because it's so difficult for these comrades on the continent to have access to us and to each other often, because the infrastructure that's sucked out of Africa complicates the ability of people on the continent to communicate effectively, as I said, with us and with the world. I made the point about not being simply a protest organization, because the government did not attack us because we protested something, even though we did protest around the U.S., we believe, violation of the United Nations Convention from 1948 on the prevention and punishment of the crime of genocide. We did protest the fact that that African people are constantly under assault here, and the biggest protest that can possibly be made was the reparations movement that we initiated, that we made a household word going back all the way, that is reparations, all the way back to 1982, and built the first mass organization around this question. And so, you can't talk about reparations without criticizing the relationship that African people have to the United States government and specifically into colonialism in general. So this is the kind of work we've done. And the work that we've done here with this Hands Off Uhuru, we continuously remind people that we did not join the movement to get me out of prison or to keep me out of prison or to keep Penny Hess and Jesse Nevel out of prison. We joined this movement because African people are oppressed here in the United States, oppressed in various places around the world, and that we are the foundation, that is to say, African people are the foundation of a colonial mode of production, that the whole world economy was pulled together. For the first time in history, there was a single united world economy that came as a consequence of Portugal attacking Africa some 600 years ago, and forcibly dispersing Africans all around the world, including here to the United States. This is the process that began. This is the process that initiated the colonial mode of production, that upon which the whole capitalist system is founded. And that's extremely important to us. And so the question for us has been, how do we win our liberation as a people? How do we achieve the dignity of being self-determining people? How do we win the right that is presumed by all colonizer people, white people around the world, to be a self-governing people? How do we make that happen? And that's the thing that we've developed. We've created tactics and strategies to make this happen. For the first time in history, there is such a thing as there are tactics and strategy. That this is something we wrote in the 1970s that was talked about in the trial that was revealed and exposed in the trial that we just went to. And so it's important. And part of the tactics was to make sure, part of our strategy was to make sure that the African Revolution, which is the right to be a free and self-determining people, a dignified people, that is presumed by all the white people that I'm familiar with, that right. How do we make sure going forward that we don't fall victim to the same kinds of process that wiped us out in the 1960s, that killed Malcolm X, that killed Martin Luther King, that destroyed the Black Panther Party? All of these were forces that were talking about self-determination. How do we make this happen? And of course, one thing that we had to do was to end this encirclement, to end the isolation of the African Revolution, and to bring as many peoples from around the world into this process. That's the origin of the creation of the African People's Solidarity Committee and the Solidarity Front of our movement, so that now it's not just us. They killed Malcolm. You didn't see anything significant happen from the white community. They killed King. You didn't see anything significant happen in the white community. They killed Fred Hampton, the similar thing. And then the thousands and thousands of African people who are in prison today without a murmur from the white community that you only see expressing concern. What it appears to be that the colonial contradictions that affect most people in the world began to creep into the social fabric, the political fabric of the white world, and that's what they call fascism. So what we did was initiated as a part of the strategy. And so there is an African People's Solidarity Committee that took us behind enemy lines, so to speak, that took our movement into the white community, into white homes, into white families. There are something like more than 140 cities within which the Solidarity movement under our leadership functions. White people are functioning against colonialism, functioning around the questions of reparations, etc. This is the basis of the work the trip that I took to Ireland in 1982, 83, to win support and solidarity with the Irish Republican Socialist Party when they were living under the domination, cruel domination of the colonial domination of England. And this was resulted in winning support from that movement to push the United States to ratify the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide that they had not ratified, and it took them 40 years to do that, and even then with the caveat that the United States would not be tried for that crime unless it agreed to do so. These are some of the things that we did. That's how I ended up in Moscow, but I was in Spain. I was in throughout England. I was in Suriname. I was all around the world trying to win the solidarity so that our movement would not be isolated. And I moved to create the African Socialist International so the whole African revolutionary movement globally would be connected and we would not have to fight this oppression where France has control of 14 African entities. It did have, and increasingly that's something that's being pushed out of reality. But and so you have one France controlling 14 different or 15 different African entities that they call countries and nations, etc. But Black people here were not supposed to have a relationship with any other African people. France had more rights in terms of relationship with Africans than we. England had more rights in terms of relationship with Africans than Africans ourselves. And so we said we dismissed that and recognized that the African Revolution had outlived its capacity when confined to the artificial borders that were imposed on us by colonialism. This is why we were attacked, because we initiated a whole strategic process that would overturn the oppression of African people. That is the foundation for the oppression and exploitation of everybody else on the planet Earth. This is why we were attacked. And this is why we really appreciate your coming on to this meeting with us, because in the past, in the 1960s, one of the greatest battles we had was not just fighting against the state, but fighting against what was characterized as a left. These are colonizer left. These are colonizer left who had their own politics. We had to actually sometimes physically battle them because their intervention in the struggle that would interrupt our ability to fight for the liberation and self-determination of African people globally. Salute to our comrades in Union de Barrio. Salutes to our comrades in Filipino Revolutionary Movement, National Liberation Movement, and to the indigenous peoples. We talked about Leonard Peltier, who's still in prison. And of course, the Leonard Peltier is in prison, and we talk about him as a political prisoner, but he is a political prisoner because of colonialism, because he is what they call Indian man. He is an indigenous man upon whose land this entire process, this entire system rests. And I just wanted to say that the colonizer makes the law, but colonialism is illegitimate. The colonizer makes the law, but colonialism is illegitimate. So I want to just leave it there. And thank you so much for being here and say this is the magnificent transformation of a struggle that Black people, oppressed people around the world, and now white people, colonizers, are joining in with this struggle, becoming a part of the resistance of the human family, of refusing to be this minority, part of this minority population that dominates the entire world with the presumption that that's the way it's supposed to be, with the presumption that Africans and indigenous people and Mexicans are supposed to be in cages in the borders, the southern border, supposed to be in prisons throughout this country and what have you. It is a really important movement that we have created up to now. Let's raise the money so that we can get this make this appeal and make sure that this process, these rotten laws are kicked out of the way. You got to remember that when these laws were passed, that they call the First Amendment, that they call the Bill of Rights, in 1791, African people were property in 1791. We had no rights. They were not made for us. And so we've been in the vanguard, African people, in the vanguard of the struggle for the Bill of Rights, for free speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of association, and, if you will, the Second Amendment rights to bear arms. African people have been in the vanguard. We've been in the vanguard because we didn't have it. We had none of those things, etc. And so the attack on African people by this government is an attack on those rights that the white people presume to have. Because if they can take, they will use us as a means of taking them from everybody else. And we have to be aware that there's no such thing as an Omali Yeshitela First Amendment. There's no such thing as an Uhuru 3 First Amendment. The First Amendment, if it's going to be meaningful, it's going to be something that is for everybody, and African people are fighting to make sure that we have access to it on our own terms. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Let's get the money. How much? $2,000. We can do that easily. Standing on our head, we can make that happen, and just express deep and profound appreciation for everybody who's here. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru, Chairman. Very powerful, and just wanted to just really unite with your overview and the way forward, and just summing up this really historical period. As you said, this is building upon what was attempted to be crushed in the 1960s, and we are, we have tripled, doubled what that even looks like, and what we could even imagine. And I think part of what I'm taking away too is coming off of the statement that Attorney Goodman made around even entering into the circuit, that is so-called conservative, but everything is just so shaky and unstable during this period that we can't even rely on these old understandings of how things will grow. But all we can rely on is the struggle of, is the anti-colonial struggle, which is responsible for this, deepening crisis, and, as you say, the uneasy equilibrium. So thank you, Chairman. And Chairwoman Penny,
Uhuru, Chairman, thank you so much for that mobilizing statement and clarity. And yes, I mean, we and the party was attacked because it is fighting colonialism. And it also won because it is fighting colonialism. That's why we have so many supporters, because people want to end the system where, a few people have amazing wealth at the expense of the majority of the people. And I think that all the people are on here today. All the chat was just like giving a lot of support to everything you were saying, and it's very exciting. So I really appreciate that presentation.
Well, I think it's really important that the government attacked us because of what we said. What we said is colonized people, and because of our history and we have been the last standing in the struggle against colonialism coming from the 1960s that killed damn near everybody else in this country, around the world, from Lumumba to Che Guevara to Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, you name it. It was a murderous campaign to prevent us from moving against colonialism, like I said, which is the foundation of the whole damn system. And so they wanted to shut us up, and to shut us up, they had to find a way to do it without saying we are not attacking you because of what you say. We're attacking you not because as an assault on free speech. We're attacking you because you work for the Russians, as if the Russians could teach us anything about oppression, as if the Russians could had the slightest amount of education about oppression that somehow we have not had access to. And so it was a ridiculous charge, but part of what it was is because the crisis is not just limited to the United States, it's global. And the United States is involved in a massive contest with colonized peoples around the world and with other great powers who are trying to access the resources of the colonized peoples of the world and tussling around what that's going to look like and how the whole political and economic configuration of the world at this moment is something that's in a state of transformation. And so the United States has put itself forward as a part of the general campaign that it's waging for world domination to try to maintain hegemony of the world. It is trying to win allies and give a legitimate political basis for its aggressions by characterizing itself as this great democracy that's in a struggle against autocrats, against ruthless and brutal autocrats. And an autocrat is any power in the world that it is opposed to, which is from Iran to Russia to China, you name it, to Syria. All of these are autocrats. The United States is a great democracy. But the problem is, how in the hell can America put itself forward as this great democracy with the murder, the mayhem that's happening with black people every day inside this country, and people are reading about in the newspaper the last rebellion that came as a consequence of a policeman choking an African to death, shooting an African in the back several times. The numbers of black people who are in the prisons throughout this country, how can it get away with it? Especially if we're allowed to talk and say something about it. So in order to keep us from talking and saying something about it, then they would lock us up, they would criminalize us, they would put us in prison. And what they tried to do with these charges against us is to criminalize black complaints, black criticism of our treatment in this country. So now we're not supposed to be able to criticize our conditions, because if we do, that means we are working for Russians or some other foreign power. We don't sound like Kamala Harris or Barack Hussein Obama or your Uncle Tom, your local Uncle Tom in the reactionary neo-colonial force in your city, then somehow we're working for the Russians. They've denied the right for black people to have self-determination, and they demand the right to crush us and harm us in the name of helping us. And in fact, colonialism itself requires that African people not even have agency. It requires the political line that we are suffering, we are harming, that America and Europe are doing these things to us in order to help us. That's the political line that Comrade Betty Davis refers to often as metaphysical imperialism, which is basically what we are talking about is a superstructure of a social system that's based on parasitic colonialism. So I've said it all and a little too much, but I just wanted to say those things. I think it's really important. We are in a different place altogether now. If we push forward, and if white people, especially, we see the evidence with you, with Scott Ritter, with and other folk who've broken through this whole barriers of left and right. So you can have a right-wing colonizer and a left-wing colonizer. You still got colonialism, whether it's Biden or whether it's Trump or what have you. Our objective is to remove colonialism from our lives. And that's what it is that we're in the process of doing. Thank you, comrades. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chairman. Uhuru, right on. Straight ahead. So Chairman Penny, speaking of moving ahead, I'm gonna turn it to you. We're gonna enter into our next section of the program, and want to take a moment to salute our really dynamic and remarkable Hands Off Uhuru steering committee. So we have some more slides later on to thank as many people as we says that we can remember to thank, but we're going to go ahead and just acknowledge our steering committee before we show a really great video to acknowledge most of the people in this fight back. So Uhuru, comrade.
I think we're going to show a couple of slides for this. Yes, here it comes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I want to just salute, first of all, we want to salute the committee that worked on this, the steering committee, the different subcommittees that have done an amazing job. So of course we want to salute our political leadership, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who this is part of the fight back that the chairman just described, and the struggle against colonialism and for national liberation for African people and oppressed and colonized peoples and for freedom for everyone. So I want to salute our chair of this committee, who has been so amazing, and it's not over yet, by the way. We're still going to be continuing having these webinars, and we still have an appeal to take on. But I just really want to salute the amazing work of the chair of the Hands Off Uhuru Coalition, Comrade Mwezi Odom, who's done an amazing job. And it's been an honor for me to be part of this. And also I want to salute Luwezi Kinshasa, who is also the Secretary General of the African Socialist International, who is based in London, who has played an important part in building this committee and this struggle on the continent of Europe, but also on the continent of Africa. The events committee, which I had the honor of chairing, also includes Chair Mwezi, President of Impida Matsamela, also Akenge and Allison, and Budget and Finance is led by Comrade Amanda. Deputy Chair Ona Zane is also part of that. Maureen, Janice, Allison, Leah, and Kara. InfoEd is just our outreach with Director Akile, ANWA President Yejide, Lisa, Sandy Soliana, Lisa Davis, Alikia, and others. And our legal defense committee is Chimarenga, Jess, and Zoe, Lauren, Reginald, and Audrey. Next slide. Just want to salute other committees here really quick. We have academics is Matsamela, Betty, Tiffany, Martin, Youssef, and international is Luwezi, Tafari, Morlai, and Visto, some of whom are on this call. Endorsements, Stephanie and Lauren. Logistics, Akenge, Kabula, Aisha, Hada, Kenya, Konji, Hallie, Janaba, Pastor Clarence, Carlton, Janine, Wren, who I think is on this call, Life, letter writing campaign, Dr. Aisha, also Len, and also Comrade Lauren. Outreach was Bakari, Chimarenga, Emmanuel, Konji, Erica, and PETM, USM, ANWO, and APDEP. And I think that's it for this section.
Yes. Uhuru. So yes, just wanted to join you, comrade, in saluting our steering committee members and the chairs of those committees. And some of them will be back on in this program to thank the volunteers under their leadership as well. So we'll have more about that. And I just wanted to say, because I forgot to mention during the chairman's overview, we had another outpouring of donations come in. So I just want to thank the following individuals who have donated. I want to thank Susan. I want to salute Frank, Johan, Sister Betty Davis, Inyendu, Brian, Ruby, MQ, another anonymous donation. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Arthur. Thank you, another anonymous donation. And also two more. Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Maureen. So I know we are getting closer to our goal because many of you have already gone to handsoffuhuru.org/donate. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We have a goal of raising $2,000 on today's webinar towards our overall appeal goal. And we'll talk more about why this $2,000 is such an important, jumpstart for this year and our fight back. So Uhuru, and thank you, Chairwoman Penny, for taking us through that section. So, comrades, we want you to just take a moment to enjoy this next part of our program. I really want to salute our volunteers, particularly Dylan and Comrade Lisa, Chair Jesse, those who helped to put together this really important video that helps to kind of highlight where we have been for the past 2 years, who have made it a point to be part of the face of this fight back as well. So we're going to show a video with some clips of comrades who are, who took the stance to say hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa. And I want to also acknowledge some of the hands that have been raised throughout this program. We will have a chance to acknowledge you, and feel free to also put your questions and comments in the chat, and we can do our best to address those beforehand. So without further ado, Chairwoman Penny, should we go ahead and roll that clip?
Let's do it.
All right, Uhuru.
Not yet, Uhuru. Not yet, Uhuru. I just would like to express our appreciation to all of you for being here all along with us and giving these incredible lawyers this foundation to stand on, right? And able to walk into the lion's den with great confidence, and just did a splendid job.
Economic empowerment is the foundation of a healthy life. APDF mission and mantra is to defend the human and civil rights of the African community, and we believe that African people have the right to self-determination. Uhuru.
So we ask you to stay tuned by going to handsoffuhuru.org for regular updates, to read court documents, to support the campaign from anywhere you are in the world. And once again, comrades, drop the charges on the Uhuru 3. Hands up, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Victory is ours. Uhuru.
It is no surprise that they are going after Chairman Omali Yeshitela for his success, for he understands the situation we are in, and he has been preaching that, and most important, doing something about it, forming organizations that will help our people. And an important organization is the coalition that he has managed to put together and keep together.
Uhuru. We have power and power to the people. We love you.
I just want to add, just taking on the federal government is challenging for anyone, but I've never seen three braver people than the Uhuru 3.
I am honored to be working on this case as well. I've spent my last year going through a lot of computer files and everything of the party and looking at videos, and I'm really impressed by everything that the party has done, and I'm just honored to be here, and thank you for letting me be a part.
This trial is an attack on the freedom of speech, and it's also an attack on self-determination and the ability for us to be responsible for ourselves. I've said it from the very beginning that once I visited St. Louis, once I came down to St. Petersburg, once I got engulfed in the culture of the organization, to really see the things that they've been doing as far as caring for the community, having a basketball court, having a community garden, training women to be doulas, taking care of those people who are formerly incarcerated, all of those things that we are taking on with the goal of self-determination are reasons why the government would say we need to do something about it.
I just wanted to take a moment and tell you all how absolutely honored I am to represent you, Mr. Chairman. I know I've said that before, but it truly is an honor to be here. And as I sat here with all of you and I was listening to the tributes and the comments and the donations and all of your work and the singing, it just struck me that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Right. We must all fight this oppressive and illegal treatment. We will not be tribalized. We will not let the U.S. isolate, discredit, and destroy the African People's Socialist Party, and the Uhuru movement. We are all, singularly and collectively, the African People's Socialist Party, Uhuru movement.
I stand for political freedom and call upon all parties, most especially the government, to keep hands off Uhuru.
Jesse Nevel, Penny Hess, and Chairman Omali Yeshitela are being prosecuted not because they've broken any federal laws, and certainly not because they're pawns of the Russians, but because they work tirelessly to empower communities at a grassroots level and to tell the truth as they see it. They recognize that the United States is a settler colonial power, and they insist, in accordance with international law, that self-determination is essential to the realization of all human rights.
Uhuru, foremost, I want to thank Chairman Yeshitela and Chairpersons Odom, Hess, and Nevel. We have no words for our appreciation of solidarity, love, and support shown by the Uhuru movement to Leonard and to ourselves. It is exemplary and shows the strength of unity and solidarity in movement.
Long live revolution, long live the Uhuru 3, long live the people who came here on the front line to witness and to do what is necessary.
Free the Uhuru 3. Dismiss all the charges with love, not fear. This is Mumia Abu Jamal.
Because if they came for Uhuru in the morning, they're going to come for you in the afternoon, and they're going to come for me at night. So we have to stand together. This is a sign that colonial capitalism, global capitalism, and imperialism is fatally flawed.
So we stand in solidarity. We say we're going to continue. We say Uhuru. We say we're going to continue to fight for our freedom and not be intimidated by these moves that are set to tear us down.
This trial represents is the closing of the gap between the defeat of the human rights struggle of the 60s and the attempt and the struggle to revive it today. So today it has been revived. Today we understand not only do we have the ability and the right, but we have the duty to stand up.
Yes. So I ran on a platform of reparations to Black people in 2017 and in 2019, just as I'm doing now. And they said I did this because Russians told me to, which is not only ridiculous, but it attempts, just like the whole overall attack on the Uhuru 3, what it attempts to do is rewrite history, as though Africans in the US and around the world have not been engaged in a struggle for reparations, raising this question for reparations for slavery and colonialism.
Uhuru, this is Paul Pumphrey from Friends of the Congo, lending out support for the Uhuru 3 that will be facing trial in September, as well as lending support for the struggle for the Fightback.
Chairman Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Nevel were indicted by the U.S. government on these made-up charges of being agents of a foreign government.
And we invite all white people who are outraged by this assault on African people by the same colonial state power that murdered Tamir Rice, Ayanna Jones, George Floyd, Mike Brown, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, and so many others to join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Stand up, defend the African liberation movement, fight for reparations to African people. And to the white community, it's our responsibility and in our interest to stand on the forward side of history.
I salute the Uhuru 3, the chairman, Penny, and Jesse, as well as Ona Zine Yeshitela, for your vision, steadfastness, respect, friendship, and love, and am grateful for this profound opportunity to participate in Uhuru.
So anyone who really believes that this country is a haven for free speech must recognize that this case against the Uhuru 3 is just a blatant violation of any kind of free speech principle. So that is why free the Uhuru 3, and thank you very much, Uhuru.
In
also 2018, we met Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and we met the Uhuru movement. We are members of the Uhuru movement as well, right here in South Africa. And we're saying that we will not relent, we will not back down. If they arrest Chairman Omali Yeshitela, the sky is the limit.
I would like to salute this courageous and soon-to-be victorious Fightback. For over 2 years, of course, the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement is a mass organization formed to defend the democratic rights of the African community. And one of those democratic rights is the right to anti-colonial free speech.
Thanks. I'm in queue. I've been in like a lot of the webinars, and then first started attend one of the rallies, and then yeah, this has been just such an incredible experience, and just so like energizing and galvanizing.
Omali Yeshitela is one of the foremost revolutionaries, political strategists, and theoreticians of our time, and this government seeks to destroy him for that and all of the institutions that have been built up under his incredible leadership.
On today's episode, the issue before us is, what's the status of the Uhuru 3? And my guest is the chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, also known as the Uhuru Movement. He's one of the Uhuru 3. He is Chairman Omali Yeshitela, my brother.
I appreciate the opportunity. You know, Palestinians, we appreciate anytime somebody acknowledges us and gives us space to speak, especially when it's oppressed peoples, and you know, giving us part of your space to be able to express our solidarity and also speak out for our people.
So the more repressive they become, the more expressive we need to be. Hands off Uhuru, all power to the people. Thank you very much.
This is what this case tried to do. It tried to, among other things, it tried to say that white people would be intimidated to stand under the leadership of the African Revolution, and we say, no way!
This is a time now for all white people who want to take a stand to join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, because this victory proves nothing will ever silence the voice of African people, of oppressed people, colonized people struggling for their liberation, for their self-determination.
As far as the sentencing, what we got was not one day, not one time, and that's exactly what we wanted to hear. We want to thank you guys for joining us today. We are winning, guys. Uhuru. Uhuru.
Uhuru, my name is Zaya Gudisa, and I am here in Tampa, Florida in support of the Uhuru 3. We will not allow this dirty government to imprison our leader and imprison our comrades. Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Nevel have done nothing but fight for the liberation of African people, and if that makes them enemies of the state, then I too am an enemy of the state. Uhuru.
Because the United States government has chosen to attack our movement and attack our chairman and our right to free speech as African people who challenge the colonial mode of production and struggle for freedom for our people. And we just want to make sure that people recognize that the struggle continues and we will not stop until we win.
Not one step back are we going to take, that we're not going to allow our chairman, Omali Yeshitela, and our comrades to spend one moment in jail. Hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa, all support, all love from the All African People's Development and Empowerment Project, Uhuru.
Uhuru, and salute to our comrades in the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru movement. On behalf of the Peruvian collective, Los Rondes Los Verdes, I want to reiterate our solidarity with Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, and Jesse Nevel, who are at the forefront of a new wave of COINTELPRO political persecution against dissident leaders who are seriously challenging the genocidal U.S. hegemonic world order of colonialism, capitalism, and imperialism.
We say all power to our freedom fighters. They are not taking Chairman Omali. We will stand there. We will be there. Uhuru. All power to the people, all power to our freedom fighters.
We are on the right side with this one, and we all can unite on this one. And we know for a fact the FBI got it wrong. and we're saying not one step backwards. Free the Uhuru 3.
When we say in honor of the Uhuru 3, hands off the Uhuru 3, we mean freedom and liberation for all oppressed people at home and abroad.
I'm Caleb Maupin, founder and ideological leader of the Center for Political Innovation, and I say hands off Uhuru, drop the charges against Penny Hess, Jesse Nevel, and Chairman Omali. Hands off Uhuru.
So the chairman, he's not just fighting for his First Amendment rights or your First Amendment rights. He is fighting for the right of every human being on this planet to continue to live on this planet. And we had all better join him in that fight.
So I want to give a big shout out to the Uhuru 3 and especially to Chairman Omali Yeshitela for his incredibly courageous work.
The magnificent and marvelous Uhuru 3, who loved us enough, who continued to serve and sacrifice for us, such that we shall forever be fortified in our struggle for freedom.
The battle of the Uhuru 3 is the battle of America. It is the existential struggle of our time, that if you lose, we lose. Therefore, it's imperative that we learn about you and your struggle, because your struggle is our struggle.
If we allow them to attack our leadership, if we allow them to attack our people, then they will. But if we defend ourselves and fight back, I think that that's something that they have to contend with. And that's why we're seeing, I think they're testing the waters and to see how much they can get away with. And they're seeing that it's not going to be easy for them to attack Chairman Omali, the African People's Socialist Party, the Uhuru movement, or anyone else.
Defend the right to free speech. Drop the charges against the Uhuru 3. Victory to African and oppressed peoples of the world.
Uhuru. 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 Not a day in jail. Not a day in jail. Not a day in jail. Hands off Omali Yeshitela. Hands off Penny Hess. Hands off Jesse Nevel. Whole world is watching.
Of course, we support you. And, these demonstrations against Netanyahu over here have incorporated not just the Palestinian issue, but all issues of injustice.
I think it's important right now to stand in solidarity with the Uhuru movement, with Omali Yeshitela and the rest of the anti-imperialist organizers.
Hands off Uhuru movement. You say hands off Omali Yeshitela, hands off Jesse Nevel, hands off Penny Hess.
Get out that bed, South Carolina, North Carolina, world's best blind DJ.
The Uhuru 3 has spent most of their adult life fighting for constitutional rights for African peoples and all oppressed people.
What is the work that Jesse, Penny, and the chairman do? They work to inform Black people of the crimes that this country has committed against Black people for 400 years. And then they work to organize Black people to demand their righteous reparations as due. That's what the jury heard, and that's what the verdict they came back with.
Let me, first of all, on behalf of the Universal African Peoples Organization, salute the African People's Socialist Party and the Uhuru 3 for their steadfastness in responding to the unwanted attack upon free speech.
The work that the Uhuru movement does is not just for the Uhuru movement. Omali Yeshitela he good. You know what I mean? The work that he doing is for you too. It's for your sons and daughters. It's for your family. It's for the community.
And I'm clear as Minister people said if it was not for the support of the people, I would have came out in the pine box. Yeah. If not at all. And again, right on to the legal aspect and everything, again, the people, y'all. Right on. That's it. That's it, man. Right on. Brothers should love respect, man. Beat goes on. All right.
victory to African nation and black power to African nation. Or
Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. Never give up. You know, we got a saying in Brooklyn. We say, "What's coming? Oh! Who's gonna win? We are. Cause how we gonna do it? The hard way. How we gonna do it? The hard way. Fight on. Uhuru 3 straight up.
Uhuru. Right on. Comrades, just a remarkable look back at 2 years. And as we said, there's so many other names and photos and images that could have been included in that, and we'll make sure to continue to acknowledge. But I just really want to salute that video and that compilation of the amount of support for the Uhuru 3. And this is the reason why we won on that day. On September 3rd and on December 16th, and why we will be victorious in this lifetime. So Uhuru, Comrade Penny, I see you back on. And yeah, that was just really great to see. Uhuru. Oh, you're muted, Comrade. Okay,
yes.
There you go.
I think Comrade Sandy's going to come in. She has some people to thank.
Exactly.
So, that was beautiful. That was beautiful to see all of that. And we will continue to be adding to it, and we want to get it up on our website, and we want to identify every person and what organization they were with, actually. So we have a little more work to do on that, but really want to thank Dylan and the comrades who worked on that. It was powerful, and you, Chair Moise, you did an amazing job on that.
Comrades. Yes, you as well, Comrade. There's a lot to pull together and a lot more, and couldn't have done it without our volunteers. And I want to also welcome up Comrade Sandy. Comrade Sandy is, as you saw, a member of the steering committee, serves in the really, tough role, and has done an amazing job as the lead on the public relations and the media component of this fight back. So I'm going to turn it over to Comrade Sandy, who's representing the Info Ed Tech Committee, which is under the leadership of Director Akile, to thank their courageous volunteers as well. So Uhuru, Sandy, welcome on, Comrade.
Uhuru, thank you. And what a powerful, powerful program. Just incredible to see this whole 2-year victory. And of course, we just want to salute the incredible life-changing leadership of Chairman Omali and the success of this campaign, which we know is not over. So we want to express our tremendous appreciation to those independent broadcasters and journalists who have courageously taken a stand in support of the Uhuru 3, participating in the Fight Back campaign. And also want to apologize in advance for any of you who we may have left off. It is not intentional. We deeply appreciate you all. We want to thank Katie Halper and Aaron Mate, Kim Iverson, Tucker Carlson, the African Diaspora News Network, Sabby Sabs, JB Font, Nick Cruz and the Revolutionary Blackout, Keaton Weiss and Russell Dobular with Due Dissidence, Scott Ritter and Scott Horton of Anti-War News, Jimmy Dore, Max Blumenfield and The Gray Zone, Tara Reid, Jamala Rogers, Lee Camp, Rock Newman, Indie News Network, Danny Haifong, System Update with Glenn Greenwald, Gray Zone's Anna Parampil, who came to Tampa to report on the case, and Savage Joy Mann, Zahi Muhammad of All Politics Are Local, Zaki Baruti, Caleb Mopin, Jackie Lukman, Nkechi Taifa, Ryan Napoli on Activist News Network, and Jared Ball on I Mix What I Like, Margaret Flowers on both her news site Popular Resistance and her radio show Clearing the Fog, Caitlin Kennedy of TOG24, Margaret Kimberly of Black Agenda Report and Black Agenda Radio, Jeff Mackler of LA Progressive and Socialist Action, Defending Rights and Dissent, Struggle La Lucha, People's World, Toward Freedom, Workers' World, The Final Call, the San Francisco Bayview News, the Chicago Crusader, the UK Morning Star, the Kansas City Defender, and in St. Petersburg, the Weekly Challenger, New York City's Amsterdam News, The Militant, Virginia Defender, Walla Walla Union Bulletin, Covert Action, The Nation, Ann Brown of Mogul the News, Fight Back News, Countercurrents, Counterpunch, San Jose Peace and Justice Center, The Monthly Review, and for supporting our campaign on the radio airwaves. We salute the Pacifica Network's nationally syndicated programmers, including Democracy Now! And Capitalism, Race and Democracy, WBAI's Mimi Rosenberg, Daniel Villa, Charles and Inez Barron, Paul DiRienzo, Betty Davis, and the late Ralph Pointer. In Washington, D.C., on WPFW, Marsha Adebayo, Denise Young, Esther Iverman, Nefta Freeman, Garland Nixon, Gerald Horn, Daoud Andre, Craig Hall. On KPFK in Los Angeles, we thank Yusef Duce and Tasha Thomas of the Joka Collective, Sylvester Rivers, and Thandaziswe Chimarenga. We especially appreciate the work of WBAI, WPFW, and KPFK program directors and station managers, Katia Stitt, Linda Perry, Keziah Glow, Michael Novick, and Jerry Paris, who preempted their regular programming to go live on their airwaves for the Black is Back March on the White House, as well as last month's sentencing hearing in Tampa. And then on KPFK in Berkeley, we thank Davey D., Kat Brooks, Ralph Nader. We thank Terry Wilkie, Chris Mann, and Spencer Graves of KKFI in Kansas City, and Fred Nagel of Activist News Radio in New England. Kiana Horsley, Jabbar Edmonds, and John Muhammad of the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, Francesca DeLesi, Radio Free Brooklyn, and of course DJ Eddie and host Matsamela Odom of St. Petersburg, Black Power 96 Radio. We thank Emma Luga on KBOO in Portland, along with KMUD in Redwood and KEPW in Eugene. And then longtime friends of the movement on the commercial radio side, hosts Carl Nelson and Wilmer Leon, and new supporters in community radio, programmers Al McFarlane on KFAI and Insight News in Minneapolis, as well as Robert Patillo on KOAK in Atlanta. We thank Prison Radio, who produced and distributed powerful statements from political prisoner Mumia Abu Jamal expressing support for the Uhuru Three from behind the colonial prison bars. And thank you to the journalists from around the world who lent their support to the Uhuru Three, including Mobali Makasi, the Green Left in Australia, Venezuela's Orinoco Tribune, Nigeria's Conversier, the Arab language channel Al Mayadeen, and Cuba's Trabajadores, thanks to Mark Friedman for all his work in connecting the campaign to media in Cuba. So, I mean, this has been incredible, the outpouring of support from the press, despite the attempt by the corporate colonial press to silence and to ignore and just put a whiteout on this case. The campaign absolutely broke through, and just tremendous support from journalists across the spectrum. So we want to salute the African People's Socialist Party leaders who brought the political direction from the party and Burning Spear Media into the Hands Off Uhuru Info Ed Tech Committee. And as was said, that's African People's Socialist Party Agitprop Director Akile Anai, Burning Spear newspaper managing editor Soliana, African National Women's Organization President Yejide, and All African People's Development and Empowerment Project President Dr. Aisha Fields. And as we thank all the volunteers, again, we apologize in advance if there's any of you that we've left off. It is not intentional. We appreciate everyone's participation so much. We want to thank the publicists, Sandy, Becky, Lisa Davis, who had a particularly powerful role in winning media coverage through her work on the post-raid press conference with D12, and then organizing the protest in front of the New York Times headquarters in New York City, demanding that they cover it. Also, Tasha, Kumba, Sheila Hamanaka, who has done so much work to get the Uhuru 3 campaign into the public eye. Raya, Zai, Anne, and Diane, who all together introduced the Uhuru Fightback campaign to over 10 million people over the last 2 years through exposure in the media, including the supportive ones that we've mentioned earlier, as well as these major platforms, these major outlets, the New York Times, Associated Press, CNN, and more. And then we want to salute the talent of comrades Alikia, Logan, and Yindu, Lisa W., Joseph, PJ, Cesar, Chiwaniso, Pop, and Paolo, and Dylan, who took photos, edited video, designed graphics, and built the Hands Off Uhuru campaign website. And all of this contributed to the incredible social media presence that the campaign has built over the past 2 years. And then the Burning Spear newspaper team, who produced monthly features on the Uhuru 3 case, Comrade Soliana, Logan, Nyabenga, Maz, Tracy, Kota, Sheila, Bobby, Sayero, and Nyindu. And we thank the dedicated volunteers who brought the trial of the courtroom out of the courtroom and to the people. So the court reporters, Indigo, Wendy, and Janine, the sketch artists, Ruby and Hallie, and on the ground for the trial in Tampa, camera operators, Leah, Dylan, and Renee. And we thank Burning Spear Media's trial coverage Spanish language translator, Polina, proofreaders, Kota and Sheila, and the engineers and chat monitors for the live stream broadcast, Kabula, Kota, Chiwaniso, Logan, Virginia, and Johan. And finally, we thank the brilliant actors and technical crew who brought the trial to life in Burning Spear Media's reenactment of the Uhuru 3 trial, Anti-Colonial Free Speech of the Century, on YouTube if you haven't watched it. The numerous volunteers that spent hours poring over the transcripts to extract the most meaningful sections to put on screen, and the brilliant narrator Mariah, along with actors Becky, Brendan, Kara, Diane, Dylan, Indigo, Jamie, Kobina, Kumba, Kiangozi, Len, Redbeard, Sandy, Sarah, Talmadge, and Wendy, as well as the production crew, Lisa W., Chiwaniso, Kabula, Kota, and Virginia. We just want to say long live Chairman Omali and the Uhuru movement, long live Burning Spear Media, making and winning the war of ideas towards victory for Africa and all colonized people. We are winning, and we look forward to the next phase of this counteroffensive. Uhuru.
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 Amazing. Wow.
Yes,
Thank you so much,
amazing.
and all of you from that team.
Right on. Thank you so much, Comrade Sandy, and just want to salute you again, and just the tremendous work of all of the volunteers. And yeah, that's just a sliver of what we can do as colonized people, putting all of our skills together, colonized, indigenous, and anyone fighting for the liberation. We fought back, and we did it in such a remarkable way. And I just really want to salute all of the comrades under the Info Ed Tech Committee. So we are moving on in our program, and Chairwoman Penny and I are going to go as quickly as we can. If we can go even faster than Sandy's slides, because we have a lot of names to thank in this next section. And if I'm correct, we are on schedule for this part. Yes, correct. So right now we're going to just take a moment to go through as many of the organizations and individuals that we can name in this portion. But again, all this information, we need to continue to put it up and put it out there. So Chairwoman Penny, let me see where we're at right now. Okay, great. So again, this is just a highlight of the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition. Again, the call on July of 2023, a year after the raids, on July 8th, we held a meeting. We put out a call for anybody who wanted to help build this anti-colonial free speech movement. And here are just some of the organizations and individuals who united with being there on that first day. So we want to thank, and I can go through some of these names or these organizations if I can very quickly. And let me do that in this way, probably quicker if I can do it like this. So I want to appreciate the American United International. We also want to salute, as part of that, Comrade Sister Crenshaw, who we also lost during this fight back as well. I want to also salute, that's Zena Crenshaw, rather, as well as the African National Women's Organization, the African People's Solidarity Committee, the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, the African People's Solidarity Committee, also the Alambe Brath Foundation, the African Socialist International, Black Agenda Report, Black Alliance for Peace, the Black Is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations, Ebola, Bola Adeshina as well. Also the Boston Mayday Coalition, Brendan McCoy, who joined as an individual, the Brown Berets de Aztlan, San Diego, also the Center for Global Studies. We also want to appreciate the Centro Martin Luther King in Havana, Cuba. Also the CUNY for Palestine, the Cuba C, New York, New Jersey Coalition, as I mentioned, the Alambe Brath Foundation, the Freedom Road Socialist Organization, the Green Party of Florida, the Green Party of New Jersey, Hands Off Uhuru, who also signed on for the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition, the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, the Islamic Human Rights Commission in London. Also, Janet Coburn, who joined as an individual as well. The Jericho Movement, National Jericho Movement. Jesse Todd, the People's Alderman in St. Louis, Missouri. Also individual and member of the Center for Political Innovation, Comrade John McCarthy. We want to salute Joko Collective, the U.S. Hands Off Cuba Committee located in Los Angeles, the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, the official Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee, also Los Ronderos de las Redes. We also want to salute Louisiana United International and Sister Belinda Parker Brown. The Mafundi Lake Day Committee, Sister Afia Wangaza of the Malcolm X Center for Self-Determination. Also the Missouri Green Party in Cobra, the National Lawyers Guild, the National Network on Cuba, Odessa Solidarity Campaign, Orinoco Tribune, Comrade Jesus Rodriguez in Venezuela, also the Revolutionary Alliance and Alex Suarez, Sammy Dune. We want to salute the Sammy Dune Palestinian Prisoner Solidarity Network, Socialist Action, as well as the Socialist Unity Party, Students for a Democratic Society, the Tampa Five, Surge, showing up for racial justice in Birmingham, Alabama. Also the Troika Collective, Unión del Barrio. We also want to salute and recognize the United National Anti-War Coalition, also known as UNAC. Also UAPO, the Universal African Peoples Organization, under the leadership of President General Zaki Barudi. Also the U.S. Peace Council, Students Against Imperialism, Veterans for Peace. Also, we want to salute comrades from Anagbayan and also Malaya Movement as well. So those are just some of the organizations who, united with building this anti-colonial free speech movement around on July 8th. So the next slide has a list of names, and I'll turn it to you, Chairwoman Penny. Oh, let me see if they went down. Okay, go ahead.
Uhuru, let me see. So this is still the organizations that I'm seeing. Okay, here we go. I've got to make this a little bit bigger. This is all right. So, I'm sorry. This is still okay. Black is Back Coalition, Ron Gochez. I'm just going to say first names, actually. Lucy, Sylvester, Marsha, Nancy, Barry, Mona, Thesiona, Sayero, Becky, H. Rap Brown, Jamil Alamin, Lisa W., Frank, Sandy, Emmanuel, Life, Audrey, Paul, Kafira, Mads, Chimarenga, Lauren, Jess, Hada, Aisha, Lauren, Len, Allison, Hallie, Shakura, Kitty, Bakari, Sayali, Mark, Carl, Don, Eddie, Iman, Margaret, Jennifer, Malik, Ella, Joe, Charlotte, Carpani, Jonathan, Chrisley, Dawn, Kobina. Uhuru. Janet, Nardine, Angelica, Stan, Reginald, Sinke, Kamal, Roger, Norman, Jan or John, Nellie, Jihad, Tasha, Paulette, Sheila, Adelso, Alan, Amy, Ramona, Shaka, Phil, Lucy, Jesus, Larry, Nefta, Margaret, Suzanne, Alex, Jeff, Robert, Icarus, Jan, Francisco, Jamie, Eliza, Desiree, Josh, Nesbitt, Gloria, Wendy, S, Wendy C, Kara, Janet, and Peter.
Uhuru. And also Zoe's name, who I think we just kind of skipped on the previous slide. I wanted to also recognize Comrade Zoe from the Legal Defense Support Committee and USM.
And did we say Esther, who is actually on this call now, has been there.
Salute.
Say her, I don't know. I don't want to forget anybody.
Yes, and we can't wait to meet you, Esther, at least myself.
Yes.
Uhuru.
Kansas City.
Yes,
And
exactly.
did we
right
say
on.
Ann? Did we say Ann? I just want to make sure that we're not.
Yes, say it
forgetting.
anyways. Comrade Ann, yes, Comrade Ann as well. I just really want to salute that comrade who did some really amazing fundraisers, and we're going to thank her actually. Hopefully we can say more about Ann as well in the appeal.
And
And
people who were on, if I may.
yes,
Could
go
I
ahead,
just say
Penny.
that really quick? Okay, so
Yes,
some
please.
people were on there. Kat and Kat is from London. We talked to her before. Elizabeth L, Octob, Allison, Angelica, Armone, Arthur, Barry, Becky, Brenda, Brian, Kara, Cleo, Dolores, Dylan, Afia, Egan, Ella B, Eris, Esther, Itana, Fami, Fofi, Gil, Indigo, Jan, Jackie, Jan, Janet, Janice, John, Casey, Kadia, Kamal, Katrina, Khadija, Kalia, Kim, Chris, Leah, Leon, Lisa D, Luazy, MQ, Matsumela, Matt, Mel, Mahandisi, Mona, Monica, Morgan, Ininju, Opa, Peg, Phyllis, Pichu, Raya, Robert, Ruby, Ruth, Shaza, Sheila, salute to you, Sheila, Stephanie, and Zoe. Wow. That's who's on today. Really, really appreciate everyone. This has been amazing. Amazing adventure, amazing, just really moving into the world and fighting back and winning so many friends, allies, and wonderful, wonderful comrades who we've been able to meet in this, in this powerful context that has stood with Chairman Omali Yeshitela and everything that he just put out earlier, the fight against colonialism, anti-colonial free speech. This has been a powerful movement, and it's just getting started. Uhuru.
Yes. Uhuru, comrade. Thank you, Chairman Penny. I just want to appreciate you for going through the names. Those are those who are joining us right now on this webinar, and I just want to unite with you in saluting those comrades. And as we go back to some of the endorsing organizations, I'm just going to name, hopefully, those that we didn't name already. I want to acknowledge the All African People's Revolutionary Party, as well as Americans for Peace and Human Rights. We have a couple of slides, so I'll go through these fairly quickly. Sister Belinda Parker Brown, we did mention, but as an individual and endorsing organization, the Belize Black Unity Network, Bethesda African Cemetery Coalition, the New Abolitionist Movement with Sister Betty Davis, as well as Black Lives Matter in Boston, the Black Workers for Justice. Next slide. Also want to, again, salute Caleb Maupin and the Center for Political Innovation, Charles and Inez Barron with Operation Power, Reverend Clarence Williams of Great Mount Zion AME Church, the Committee to Defend Free Speech in Miami, Committee to Stop FBI Repression, the Danish Community, the Danish, I think that should say Communist Party, and also, again, December 12th, Viola Plummer and Roger Wareham. Viola Plummer, y'all. Defending Rights and Dissent, Don Hardux. We want to also salute and thank the Freedom Socialist Party, as well as the Institute of Black World 21st Century, the International Women's Alliance, IWA or IWA. We also want to salute IFCO, the Interreligious Foundation for Community Organizing and Pastors for Peace, as well as Jamal Assur. We also want to salute the Americans for Peace and Human Rights, John Muhammad, Laura Garza, the Socialist Workers Party candidate for U.S. Senate, as well as the Malcolm X Commemoration Committee, NBUF as well. We want to salute Comrade Chair Kofi Taharka, as well as the National Conference of Black Lawyers, National Jericho Movement. We have thanked you, comrades. We want to thank you again, as well as the October 22nd Coalition to Stop Police Brutality in New York. And I think we have a couple more slides to thank. And again, I'm just reading through some of the names that were not already acknowledged. Again, also the Organization for Black Struggle in St. Louis, the Pan-African and Indigenous Movement of the Caribbean, Pan-African Society Community Forum, the Party for Socialism and Liberation in San Diego. We want to also thank our comrade, again, Ralph Pointer, and the Lynn Stewart Committee and the What's Happening Blog Talk Radio, Sarah Flounders with the International Action Network. Yes, and
Yes,
Socialist
really want to
Action.
salute Sarah Flounders.
Yes, really do. These are some of the earlier, forces that were here, and some really great interviews that people should go back to as well to take a listen to, as well as the Socialist Equality Party. We mentioned Troika Collective, the Saint Peace for Pete, and
Peace. Yeah, Saint Pete for Peace. Yeah.
Did I say that correctly? Okay, great. Thank you, comrade. As well as, again, Joko Collective, comrades Tasha, Youssef, and Jamila, the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, U.S. Students Against Imperialism, formerly known as the American Students of Virginia, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, Unión del Barrio, we have that on there twice. Double salute to those comrades. U.S. Peace Council, Workers' World Party, Zaki Baruti, and many, many more to come as we continue to grow this fight back.
And did we have Phil Waleto? Did we have Phil Waleto? And
yes, Odessa. Yes, so Phil,
yes,
thank you.
Odessa
Phil Waleto with the Odessa Solidarity Campaign.
Exactly.
Correct.
Uhuru.
So you can find more of the endorsers and names listed on the Hands Off Uhuru website under endorsers, but just to name a few as I go through these last slides, as we move towards today's program, I want to just really give a profound salute to the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. This also was an attack on the Black is Back Coalition, and it's very clear that this organization that was formed, with the intention of, once again, uniting all of the struggles. If you look at their 19-point platform, that's a great example of how this coalition was built to, once again, center the struggle, for Black power, and recognizing that even with the inauguration or the selection of Barack Hussein Obama, it was not over for Black people, and indeed Black was back. And this coalition, took us to Washington, D.C. and all around the world for the Black People's March for 2 years in a row, and united with building this anti-colonial free speech coalition. And I want to salute the chair of the Black is Back Coalition, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, as well as the vice chair, Sister Lisa Davis, who again played such a remarkable role in this fight back, and to all the comrades who make up the coalition, their members, and their steering committee as well. So salute to you, comrades, for your really remarkable work in this fight back. We want to salute our comrades from Unión del Barrio. Again, we say from sea to shining sea, Indigenous people must be free. We will continue to stand with our comrades in the Sami Dune Palestinian Prisoner Network, Comrade Charlotte Cates. We hope to, be on tour and to, come and see you up there, comrade, and continue to deepen and build this work wherever you are as well. And we say victory to Palestinian people, victory to the struggle for, the independence and the revolution of the Cuban people. We want to salute, again, the comrades from the U.S. Hands Off Cuba Committee for helping to bring this struggle internationally, and those who continue to stand with Comrade Mumia Abu Jamal. We stand with you as well, and this fight is not over, as well as the fight for Leonard Peltier. And, as we have said, not one more year. Free Comrade Leonard Peltier, free this relative, bring him back home, not one more day. We're going to thank our donors coming up very soon. And as we continue to thank and salute all of our supporters, we want to also thank those who took time in the very early days and who continue. I think we had one more signature today, who are signing the petition, going to handsoffuhuru.org/petition. And to know that this petition also might change in terms of the wording and how we take this forward, but it's still there, and we want to thank those who are signing it. But Penny, were you going to say something?
Well, yes, Comrade Lisa was just saying, did we mention Brothers Figuero? I just can't imagine that we didn't, but
okay, if we missed that,
we didn't, just in case we didn't, we are saying it. We wouldn't be here without the Sayero. I mean,
yes, thank you. And that I'm self-critical.
So much.
Yes, thank you, Comrade Lisa. And that is, yeah, I'm self-critical if we did not say that, but Comrade Sayero, we really want to salute this comrade. Many comrades are coming into this fight back too, battling other, issues that they have going on, but still manage to be at all the meetings, all the webinars, and, really continue to put this out. And Brother Sayero also played a really important role with working alongside Comrade Sister Betty Davis with the What's Happening Blog Talk Radio and helping to keep the Uhuru 3 fight out there. So not intentional, and we want to salute you, Comrade. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Penny, and thank you, Sayero. And again, all of our volunteers, we want to continue to salute you, comrades. And Sayero might be listed in this list of names that we have coming up here. I hope so. But I just wanted to say to everybody who has volunteered in some capacity, this is through phone banking, chat moderating, tabling, doing outreach, setup and breakdown at events, door to door, contacted the media, put yourself out there. We want to salute this list of names here as well. Jermaine, Matsamela, Kingozi, Kumba, Westbrook, Kabula, Tafari, Len, Lukaday, Jamie, Amir, Kanji, Morlai, Virginia, Christopher, Naindu, James, Mark, LC, Quasi, Don, Chimarenga, Jess, Zoe, Lauren, Reginald, Audrey, Johan, Brendan, Isadora, Eric, Mayasa, Malika, Littell. Those are some of the young ones. Torin and Nova, Rage, Eric, Fofeet, Lisa, Janet, Karen, Lukaday, Kumba, Kabula, Kiangozi. Okay, that might be a repeat. Okay, because people were in multiple committees. Shakura, Obina, Aronda, Aronde, Feist, Allison, Ruby, Len, Brendan, Sayero, Ciali, Matsamela, Zayi, Wendy, Kara, Ruby, MQ, Chiwoniso, Fofi, again, Zayi, Bakra, Chuisa, Len, Lauren, Tafari, Luezi, Ignace, Bertin. These are the comrades, our French-speaking comrades over there on the continent. Correga, Shiboy, Redbeard, Wendy, Brendan, Paul, Opa, Coco, MQ one more time because that's MQ, Corey, Stephen, Ali, Shabaka, Felicia, Gemma, Life, Aurora, Stephanie, Kafira, and Wendy.
And Fofi, did we say Fofi? Don Hammond.
Yes.
I don't know.
Fofeet and Don, we got them. Yes,
Okay.
wanted to salute those comrades. Fofeet in St. Louis, Don out here in California. Uhuru. Thank you, comrades. So again, comrades, we want to salute everybody. And again, in terms of the letters, there's more to be said about how we're going to move forward with the all of the letters that came. But we do want to say that, again, we surpassed our goal. We had a goal of getting 500 letters for the Uhuru 3, 500 for the chairman, Penny and Jesse each. We surpassed our goal. Over 1,600 letters were submitted. And I just saw some more letters that came in just the other day. And this was also from 600 individuals who took time out to write these letters. So
and
really
it was very
comrades.
important. The
Say it
letters
again,
are very
Penny.
important, and we're going to be able to go through them more
Yes.
in our next webinar in February, but it made a huge difference. And the judge basically, he usually gets like 3 or 4 at most, and this was 1,600 letters total. He was blown away, and it really was important to, no prison time, no fine. It was a great victory. Really want to thank and salute everybody who sat down and wrote many very moving and powerful letters. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Penny. And yes, like you said, we're going to take time to go through this a little bit more in the future. Particularly, I think John McCarthy asked the question earlier about if we plan on publishing them, and we do. And we do want to see if anybody, we'll be sending out information from the letter writing committee. You'll hear from them soon to get your consent if we can use your letter in the publishing or, putting it out there in the world. So we want to, I just want to join Penny in saying, yes, this was very moving and very important part of the fight back. And we can't thank you enough. All 1,600 letters and 600 plus of you. And again, we want to again thank everybody because thanks to you, we were able to pack the courthouse on December 16th. That was our goal, and we did that. And so you were there, you saw what happened on the sentencing. We packed the courthouse, and this is the last slide for this part because, as we say, it's not over, and we will continue to fight back until it's won. And so I just wanted to say if there's any other names that we have forgot, and thank you, John, we have your consent. Well, your letter will be one of the first ones to go out. And
thank you, John.
Yeah, salute you. Thank you, Comrade
Great.
John. Yes.
Appreciate that, Brad.
Uhuru. I want to just really appreciate everybody who's still with us. We are wrapping up today's program. We are moving into the appeal, which I understand is going to be, fairly simple because it sounds like we have, gotten maybe past our goal or we're close to or something. So Comrade Amanda and I are going to go through this and we'll lead everybody through the appeal. But Uhuru, and I see you on camera, Comrade. Uhuru Amanda, chair of our fundraising committee.
Uhuru Chair Moisey, Uhuru Chairman Penny, Chairman, and everybody. Yes, we have surpassed our goal. I'm gonna let, Uhuru, my one-person audience here, which is Jesse. I'm gonna let the AV team pull up the slides, but while I'm doing that, I'm gonna just run through these names really quick of people who have donated so far. And just because we exceeded our goal today does not mean that we need to stop. We'll talk in a little bit about how much we need to move forward with appealing the bogus conviction. But I just want to thank an anonymous person who gave 20. I put in 50, Robert put in 25, Leah put in 200, Frank put in 100, Barry put in 25, Ann put in 25, Dolores put in 100, Maggie put in 100, Andrea put in 25, Esther put in 250, Susan put in 40, Johan put in 40, Frank put in 100, Betty Davis put in 200, and Yindu put in 20, Brian put in 10, Ruby put in 50, MQ put in 40, Anonymous put in 10, Monica did 20, Arthur did 50, another anonymous person did 20, Michael did 10, Maureen did 50, another anonymous person did 25, the Impedum IEC did 50, Allison did 100, Redbeard did 250, Carla did 35, Jose did 75, Kara did 50, Janet did 20, Kat did 25 per month, so that's a new sustainer, so her Kat. Ruth did 30, and then Yusuf did 50. So for anyone that didn't do the math while I was reading those, that is $2,290 that we raised. So we did, again, exceed our goal for today. But again, do not let that stop you. And I know you won't. This is a just really amazing group of people who have just shown so much support over the last over 2 years, through this campaign. And my name is Amanda. I lead the fundraising committee, and I'm joined by Chair Boise, and we're just going to go through and thank some of the people that made this victory possible. And, this photo right here shows the Uhuru 3 coming out of the courthouse. It was a jubilant experience being there, and they did not receive 1 day in prison, and they did not get a dime of a fine, and that is directly related to the support from all of you. So we can go to the next slide here. Uhuru Chair Moisey.
Uhuru, yes, I just wanted to unite with that and thank everybody who has donated and just, agree that, yes, this was the U.S. government versus the people. And it was so clear that the people won. They thought that they could drain this movement of its resources, scare away our supporters, and intimidate the Uhuru 3 into folding. But comrades, you stood up and you showed them that when the people stand up and fight back, we indeed will win.
We can go to the next slide here. So this is the judge, William Jung, played by Redbeard in the live action replaying of the trial. But he had said in the sentencing that he's not going to do any sort of fine. And I believe the quote he said was that a fine is supposed to punish the individual, but for these people, they're just fundraise for it anyway. And that's so true. Whether he gave a $10,000 fine, a $100,000 fine, we walked into that courtroom being confident that that would not be a punishment for any of the Uhuru 3, that we collectively would come together and raise that. And we don't need to. So that's really, really excellent. And that's because of all of you. He also commented on the amount of letters that he received, and he said he appreciated those. So the judge took notice of your presence. if you were in the courtroom itself or if you were not able to make it, he knew that you were there because you had contributed and you had written a letter. So thank you all so much for all of that. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru. And yes, and we had over 1,000 people who contributed to this campaign. And the majority of our donors, were those who gave between $1 and $100, which really shows how much the contributions can add up when we come together, comrades. And almost 80% of all the donors gave less than $1,000. So that's really, profound. And every donation that you made was a part of this fight back. It was more than a donation, comrades. It was a statement that you were on the side of the Uhuru 3 and that you would not rest until you ensured that they did not make one day in prison. So Uhuru.
Uhuru. So the next slide here, I'm just letting it load on my screen. These are the top 50-ish donors. These are the people who gave more than $1,000. And I just want to first thank, the first name here is anonymous. This person right out the gate gave $70,000. And we cannot say enough how much we appreciate you for making that contribution. That was within, I think, maybe the first few months of announcing that we were doing this campaign to raise the funds for the lawyers. And it gave all of us so much confidence that we would be able to raise what was needed for the full legal fight back. And not just for us, but for everyone that, went to our website and saw, wow, because it was public at the time, someone gave $70,000. That's amazing. This is obviously something that's getting a lot of attention, and it makes people, when they give $20, they know, okay, we're gonna do this together because we have just so many people on our side. So we just really appreciate this anonymous person. Again, we want to give a shout out to Leonard Goodman and Angela Rainey, who are listed here, who are again participating on the team pro bono. So that's an amazing contribution as well. And then I'm just going to quickly read through this list for everybody else. And again, these are our top donors. And again, if your name is not on this list, it's just an oversight and we missed you. But, we see you. There's a huge list of names that we went through. But we have Janice, Ruby, Fergie, John, Leah, Redbeard, MQ, of course, Peg, Allie, Carla, Becky, Massamela, the chairman, Deputy Chair Omali Yeshitela, Marcus, Allie, Charles and Inez Barron, Kitty, Maureen, Johan, Doug, Lisa, Betty Davis, Reynald, Len, the People's Organization for Progress. They did a fundraiser and had a bunch of people contribute from their organization. The Center for Political Innovation did the same. Penny Hess, myself, Anonymous. This is another anonymous person that I know gave $12,000. So we really appreciate you as well, whoever you may be. Alvin, the Partisan Defense Committee, Paul, Brendan, Raya, Emmanuel, Charles and Betty, Chris, David, Nick D, Angelica, Jesse, Chair Moisey, Janet, Anne, Kara, Peter, Robin Kelly, who we saw in the video, Stephen, Union Del Barrio, Phyllis, William C, William P, Zachary, and John M. And there are many more anonymous donors as well. Sometimes we don't even actually get your information, so we truly don't know who you are, but we know you're out there and we really appreciate you for all of your contributions. Uhuru. And Chair Moisey, if you want to read this slide, I know I'm getting donation text here. I just want to make sure we acknowledge those.
Okay, sure. All right, I'll take this one on. So again, in addition to the individuals who donated, many of you hosted fundraisers and used your skills to raise resources for this campaign. So we had Deputy Chair Omali Yeshitela, who coordinated a fundraiser with Jamie the artist, who donated 2 beautiful paintings as a contribution to this campaign. So you can see Jamie up there in the top left-hand corner. We also want to thank Paul in Spokane, who went to a farmer's market and raised money with, quote, music by Paul. And Comrade Paul, played, I think, the guitar, or one of the instruments. And it was really just a really creative way to raise resources. Also, Comrade Anne in Ecuador, who hosted a yoga class, who I participated in. That was really great. She had it was yoga for the Uhuru 3, as well as Ember. We want to also thank Wendy and Ember, Wendy, and others in Oakland who raised money on tables, Sunday and Jamie who hosted the Voices of Resistance benefit concert, as well as Fofeet and Comrades Grace and others who hosted a poetry event called Hands Off Uhuru, Hands on the Mic. Also Nathan in St. Louis who hosted a house event, Kafira in Miami who hosted a community acupuncture event, and many, many more of you who brought the Uhuru 3 to your city, including Union del Barrio, who brought them to Los Angeles. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru, thank you, Chair Moise. And we can go to the next slide here. We want to really appreciate the phone banking team. This is specifically the team that was calling on people to ask for donations. So we have Denzel, Fofi, Kiangozi, Kobina, Konji, Rage, Kundai, Tasha, and Yindu, Tanya, Sayero, Matum, Grace, Wendy, Zoe, Jamie, Bree, Brendan, Virginia, Raya, Pete, Paul, Nicole, Natasha, Matsamela, Len, Brittany, MQ, and everybody else who participated in that National Day of Phone Banking, calling on hundreds of supporters and raising thousands of dollars just in a few days. So these are amazing comrades who were so powerful, so winning on the phones that even people who got voicemails that didn't pick up donated later that day. So the voicemails themselves were enough to make people go to the website and contribute. And we can go to the next here. Really quick, I want to appreciate Anne who gave 25 and Jesse who gave 25. So now our total is 2,340. So Uhuru comrades, feel free to keep going to handsoffuhuru.org/donate and inching away at what we need for the appeal. And we want to really appreciate the APSP Deputy Chair, Onazane Yeshitela. She leads all the economic work of the party, and the science that she brings to that work was able to be brought to this committee as well. And I also want to thank Chair Moise, Chairwoman Penny, Jesse, Maureen, Janice, Allison, Leah, and Kara, who were amazing people that were on this fundraising team at various points. So Uhuru to all of those people.
Uhuru.
And as Chairman Omali Yeshitela said, this dream team of lawyers was a nightmare for the prosecution, and they have all agreed to continue in this fight as we move forward to appeal the bogus conviction. So Uhuru to the team.
Uhuru. And so now, as we move into phase 3 of the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback, we are raising funds needed for the legal fees and all other campaign expenses. So we have already secured, comrades, for $45,000, and we are 36% of the way there. So we want to again thank everybody for your contributions in the beginning of phase 3. Next slide.
Uhuru. So the majority of this is going to be retaining these 3 lawyers. It's going to be $72,500 for their commitment to be on this appeal for the next about 2 to 3 years until this appeal is won. So that is the majority of what we need for this fight back. Go to the next slide.
And then we want to also salute attorneys Leonard Goodman and Angela Rainey, who agreed to continue their pro bono services. So again, this is such a profound contribution from these two significant lawyers. So we want to salute them as well. Uhuru.
Uhuru. And this is just a simple breakdown of what the other resources are needed for. So we do have a cost for filing the intent to appeal, which I believe has already been done. The fee for our fiscal sponsor, which makes all of your contributions tax deductible to a 501c3, court transcripts, promotional materials, tour costs, and more. And we are so confident that we're going to be able to raise these resources because of all of your ongoing support.
Uhuru. And comrades, as we said, today's goal was to raise $2,000. And again, when you donate, you are making a statement that says that to overturn this whole entire conviction, throw it in the dump pile, and that African liberation is not a conspiracy. It is not a criminal conspiracy, and that it is a future for all of us who want to see a world without oppression. And as we have said, we have exceeded our goal on today. We have so far total, we have raised in pledges and donations $2,340 towards our goal, our overall goal for towards the appeal. So right on, comrades. Go to handsoffuhuru.org/donate to continue to contribute.
Uhuru, thank you, Chair Moise. And I just want to respond to Raya in the chat really quick. For all of you who asked, do our monthly pledges continue or do we need to restart? So they do continue. That is included in part of our plan for how we're going to raise the rest of the $125,000. So thank you to everyone who does a monthly sustaining amounts. We have about $1,000 worth coming in every month from Raya and from others as well. So that makes a tremendous impact. And yes, it does continue automatically. So this screen here is just going to give you a little idea of how you can give. You can do it by card on the website, through your bank account directly, PayPal, a donor-advised fund, crypto, stocks, Venmo. So those are some great options for people to be able to contribute. If you don't have, a traditional bank account or anything like that, there's some other options for you there. There also is an option to send a check to us. You make that check out to Hands Off Uhuru, and you mail it to the office at 2654 Gravois, Gravois Avenue in St. Louis, Missouri at 63118.
Great.
You can go to the next slide here.
Great. And then going forward, comrades, these are the plans for the next 2 years in terms of our fundraising. We are going to be hosting an African art auction, so look out for more information about that, as well as movie, screenings. Also, the Uhuru 3 will be going on tour, so look forward to seeing them in your city or country. Also, monthly events, such as this one, to continue to raise the resources and to, bring everything all together, how we understand this political attack, and that the fundraisers that are going to be put on by coalition members and organizations, as you have done over the past 2 years, we hope to continue on in that fashion as well.
And I just want to end here by making a quick call to join the fundraising committee. Bring your ideas to the team. We want people to be over the events that we're going to be putting on, the budget for the tour, give backs, the accounting team, and more. We definitely need your skills, so you can donate. Go to donate@handsoffwho.org and let us know that you want to join the team, or you can let us know in the chat, and the more the merrier. We definitely need a lot of people on this team just to make it as dynamic as possible. Uhuru.
Yes.
So thank you all so much. Forward to victory. Uhuru.
Thank you, comrades. Uhuru. And just to not, undermine or minimize, rather, the importance of, continuing to consider joining one of these committees like the fundraising committee. You can also go to handsoffwho.org/volunteer. That link is still active, and we're still, hoping that people will continue to use that as a way to also let us know your interest. And you can read more about every one of the committees of this fight back. So, comrades, we are doing good on time. I think we're coming up towards the end, though. So there is a section for just questions or any comments. So Chairwoman Penny, I'll turn it to you to see how we might want to move in this section, and then we'll move to announcements and close.
Yes, thank you for that great report, Amanda. That was and Chairman Weezy, I know you were part of it. That was really great, and want to thank everybody who has contributed financially over the past 2.5 years. Just really deep appreciation for all of you. And Comrade Lisa Davis is just making sure that we're not forgetting people too. And she said, we remember Cesar Sanchez, which I think he was on there, but I just want to make sure. And it also made me think of Carlito Rivera. I wanted to make sure that he was on there, one of the founders of the Young Lords. So really want to make sure that they're on there. And, if there's anybody again that we forgot, we do love you. I see Sheila's on, and I just want to say how much Sheila Hamanaka was so important in breaking us through to Pacifica and to other fronts, introducing us to Scott Ritter and so many ways. So really want to appreciate you, Sheila, and everything that you have done through the Pacifica network that has been so helpful.
Uhuru. Yes, thank you, Comrade Penny, and thank you, Comrade Lisa Davis. Yes, I just wanted to unite in saluting those comrades. Sheila, as Sister Betty Davis would remind us too, was one of the first to put this out in the airways after the attacks all throughout Pacifica. I really want to just, recognize that as well. And yes, Comrade Carlito, who actually came to Washington, D.C. this past November for the Black People's March as well. And Comrade Cesar, yes, Cesar, who did some amazing graphics and also is a member of the Cuba C New York, New Jersey. So that's part of the crew that Comrade Lisa brought. So she wants to make sure we don't forget. And thank you, Comrade.
Thank you, Lisa, for
Yes.
putting that in front of us, as always.
Right on. So I did see some hands raised, and I don't know if those questions or were addressed in the chat. So how should we do this? Let me see. I just closed it.
Well, we're way, of course, as usual, we're way over time, but can we just have very, very brief comment questions from Kat and Elizabeth, and then we'll close out?
Yes. Let's do that. And then if you comrades want to maybe put it in the chat, that might be best. And then I did see a question here from Janet Coburn, which I'll just read out loud really quick.
I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that one, and I'll just read this because it's something that we've said throughout the campaign, but we haven't maybe said this how we're going to do it. But it says, Uhuru, have you gotten back any of the material and equipment that was confiscated during the FBI raids on July 29, 2022? And if not, when will that happen? So that's a question from Janet Coburn. And I know we have talked about, getting everything back, but I don't have an answer on that. I don't know if you, Penny, might have more
We
to
have
say.
not received that, and I have no idea that, I mean, frankly, I don't know that we want it back. So,
Yeah, who knows what's
I mean,
in it
we've
now.
long had to replace our, they took our phones and computers,
Right.
and some other equipment as well. So, obviously we've long had to replace that, and I don't know that I would want something that they've had in their little grubby hands for the last 2.5 years. So
Right. That's a good point. Thank you, Comrade Janice. I think, in terms of how we get restitution, in terms of, what was taken, that's another question, but maybe in terms of what we get back physically might be another thing. So thank you, Chairman Penny, for addressing that question. And I don't see in the chat anywhere the comments from Kat, and I think those hands went down maybe.
no, they're still up, and Fofi now. So
Okay.
So
Maybe
let's see, how do they, so
we can
anybody,
promote
Elizabeth and
the
Fofi,
panelists.
yeah, you will have to, either Lisa Watson could give you a panelist link, or you can write it in the chat, or both.
Yeah. Uhuru.
So,
Okay, let's see how we can do
sorry
that.
about that. We don't have an open mic on this unless Lisa does that. So, but Lisa Davis, just while anything's happening, said, thank you so much. This is so touching the way you tried to thank everyone. So, Uhuru, Lisa.
Uhuru. Thank you, Comrade Lisa. Can't overstate your
Oh,
significance.
and somebody was saying, Cha-Cha. Is it Cha-Cha Jimenez who just passed away from the Young Lord, a founder of the Young Lords. I saw that on Facebook. He just passed away maybe a day or two ago. So yes, rest in power, Cha-Cha.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Yes, thank you for raising.
Uhuru. Great. Oh, I see Comrade Fofi. There we go.
Yeah.
Uhuru, comrades. First of all, it's been a great program. What I wanted to do was comment appreciation to all the artists that participated in the trial contribution, that sent their videos, that sent their poems and recorded. I just wanted to appreciate all of these people from around the United States. Uhuru.
Yes.
Thank you for raising that. Uhuru. Nice.
Thank you, Fofi. Yes, and Fofi is one of our revolutionary culture artists as well, and so it would make sense that you would put that forth and help to organize really profound fundraisers on the ground in St. Louis. So thank you, Fofi.
That was a great the poetry events, the poetry nights. Wow. Now see, we didn't have that, but that was so important. And Fofi has always been out there organizing other poets and everybody that she can.
Yes.
She brings them around, I know, to the Sunday rallies and the Uhuru movement. Uhuru, Chairman.
Great.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chairman.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that we won incredible victories with this struggle already, and that when we were attacked, the FBI and Justice Department, they like to brag about having more than 90% success rate in convictions. And that's because most times when they come with the full power of the United States government, they get people who would take plea deals. So it doesn't matter whether they did it or not. They're going up against this formidable force, and they will take some kind of deal, some kind that could be considered a lesser sentence than they would get if they actually fought their cases. And I just want to say the only reason that we are talking about having even the community service, and the only reason we're not doing time is because we fought. If we had not fought back, if we'd taken a deal, there would be no questions about the First Amendment rights or anything like that. That wouldn't have even been a question. We'd just be doing time now. But we fought. And I think it's important to say that, and not only as it relates to our case, but the fact is that we want to encourage others. When you are attacked, you must fight. Because when you roll over and just take deals, you weaken the whole democratic process that's supposed to exist. They frighten people sometimes through terror. They said, if you don't take the deal, you're going to get 50 years. You're going to get all this time. And there is some presumption of people having the right to trial by their peers and things like that. But they terrorize you and say, don't do it. But if everybody would fight, if everybody would refuse to take these deals, the systems couldn't handle it. They could not handle it if people said, I'm not taking this deal, I'm fighting the case. And I just think it's really important to say that. That's the only reason we're talking about free speech, and we're talking about, and the judge had to say something about free speech, because if we had folded as they assumed we would have done, none of this discussion would be happening. We wouldn't know all the wonderful people who participated in this meeting and who's there right now. Uhuru.
That's so right. And Chairman John McCarthy said, thank you so much, Chairman, for not taking a plea. You fought for us all and you won for us all. A great statement, John McCarthy.
Uhuru. Right on. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, comrades. Thank you, everybody. Just really want to say that this was a victory for the people. And, when we say all power to the people, Black power to the African nation, this is something that we will continue to materialize in every way. All of these struggles will not happen in isolation. And it's just been such a really powerful look back over the past 2.5 years. And there's so much more to come. And I'm just very excited for this new period that we as the people get to define and win. So unfortunately, we are, we do have to move the agenda. And I'm sorry we weren't able to hear from Kat and Elizabeth. If you can email us, please do. You can always email us at info@handsoffuhuru.org. We hope we can hear from you, comrades, and have you back on our future webinars. I know it's late where you are, Kat, but Elizabeth, I did see earlier in the comments you had wrote about hoping to come and visit in St. Louis, and that door is always open. So, come on to St. Louis, see the work of the Black Power Blueprint on the ground. The comrades would love to greet you with open arms. So.
Uhuru, and Lisa Davis says, and the DOJ couldn't force anyone to say anything against the Uhuru Three with their bribes and intimidation tactics. And Phyllis Jackson says, a luta continua, global comrades. And people were thanking us. There were so many wonderful comments today, really thanking the chairman and thanking the movement for taking this stand.
Uhuru. I just such love, revolutionary love and appreciation for everybody in this period. So we're going to move to our announcements. And I want to really, just before I close, because I don't want to forget, I just really want to salute our amazing AV team. We have one of the baddest AV teams around as far as I'm concerned, and that get things thrown at them in the last minute last seconds, and you would never know that, on the other end. So I just really want to salute our Zoom techs, our chat moderators,
Our chat monitors.
everybody. Say it again, Penny.
The chat moderator, we didn't say them.
Yes.
Virginia,
Yes, their
Johan,
names were there. Exactly.
and
For today.
Chiwo usually doesn't. She's not here today, but yeah.
Yes, yes. We did thank the chat moderators. Well, they were in the group of volunteers of all the things that they do. But yes, you're right. Chiwo, who's usually on, but for today we want to thank Brendan, Johan, and Virginia. Correct.
Yes,
Who
they've
are
done
on our
a lot.
platforms.
Yes.
Uhuru. Thank you, comrade. And yes, so here are the announcements, everyone. We're going to go through these very, very quickly. Again, a reminder, always take a moment to consider joining the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back Coalition, join the anti-colonial free speech movement, bring your struggle under an anti-colonial character, which is sure to win against this parasitic colonial state. And we want to also thank everybody who has stayed connected with us on our social media platforms. This is another way for you to continue to support the campaign. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. And consider, upgrading your wardrobe. And as we say, we are going to continue to kick the ass of the ruling class, because it's clear that no one is kissing the ass of the ruling class anymore. So why not be on the other end of that? And there's some new t-shirt designs that you can find on Uhuru Planet by going to uhuruplanet.com or handsoffuhuru.org/shop. And I really want to also salute Uhuru Planet for, being the, storefront of this campaign. And again, the t-shirts for the campaign are still, on sale. You can still get those for purchase, as well as acknowledging that you too are an unindicted co-conspirator in this fight back. That's another great t-shirt. The Burning Spear newspaper, the January issue is out. Not one day, not one dime. You can get a sum up of the Uhuru 3 sentencing and other really great articles that came out in this month's Spear. So get your copy of the January Spear by going to theburningspear.store or becoming a subscriber to the Spear by going to theburningspear.com/subscribe. And on Wednesday, January 29th at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, the African People's Solidarity Committee is hosting an event. This event will sum up the Uhuru 3's victory, fighting back against the government's attack on the African liberation movement, and will also include white solidarity component, the component that organizes the white community to build the movement for reparations to the Black community under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. So in this webinar, you will learn what's coming up in the solidarity movement, how you can get involved in building a bigger and even greater fight back in solidarity during this historical moment. And you can register and reserve your spot at apscuhuru.org/register. And very excited about this. We are having a film screening as a fundraiser for the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back. This will take place on Saturday, February 1st at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to be watching the film Concerning Violence. So you can purchase your tickets for this for this fundraiser by going to concerningviolencefilm.eventbrite.com. This information will be up on the Hands Off Uhuru website under the events tab. So that'll be an easier way for you to get, connected here by going to handsoffuhuru.org/events. This will be up right after this webinar. But if you wanted to go now, you can go to concerningviolencefilm.eventbrite.com. And our chat moderators will probably get that in shortly after this webinar, and I just linked it in the chat as well. So that's Saturday, February 1st. And again, we want to appreciate the coalition, everybody who has made this fight back possible. Go to handsoffuhuru.org/events for all future updates. And that concludes our announcements. It also concludes today's webinar, but it does not conclude the way forward. So comrades, salute to everybody for joining us on today. Want to say hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa, victory to the people, and victory is ours. Uhuru.
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 Uhuru.